The expansion of the universe is the increase in distance between any two given gravitationally unbound parts of the observable universe with time. It is an intrinsic expansion whereby the scale of space itself changes. The universe does not expand into anything and does not require space to exist outside it. To an observer, it appears that space is expanding and all but the nearest galaxies are receding into the distance. In a universe this vast and bewildering, it is not unfathomable that certain species are out there, waiting. We watched Aliens and Predators.
Okay, great. Well, if you're still with us after that, welcome to Citizen Kane versus.
Who would leave during that intro? That was captivating as fuck.
I was spellbound.
Thank you.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, if you're watching, you're welcome. Welcome to Citizen Kane versus. This is a podcast where we compare a widely considered great movie with a movie that is considered to be more on the schlocky side, and we ask ourselves honestly, which is better? So this week, again, we watched Aliens and Predators. My name is Jack Rennie, and I'm joined by my friends
Sean Jacqueline
and
Daniel Benoit.
fucking nail it every time. I don't know, how do you do that?
So well rehearsed.
How do you...
I practice in the mirror for like hours a day.
So we watched
I live
Aliens
for your
and
judgmental
Predators.
phases, John.
These are both, I guess, in essence, they're both sequels.
Yep.
I think you're right. Like, Aliens is definitely a classic. Like, that whole franchise is arguably in a kind of state of classicness.
Is Predators a sequel or is it a reboot?
I would say it's a sequel.
Yeah.
It's a continuation of the series.
Yeah, and
It's
it was
like-
named Predators
As an homage to Aliens, right?
Because
Right.
of the sequelness of it.
Yeah. I don't know, like, this is something that I'll get into. I don't know how, like, schlocky it is. I do know it didn't review well. Like, it wasn't reviewed. It was panned quite a bit, right? I remember.
Well,
Was it not?
yeah.
It was.
Yeah, and it's schlocky and it's a low budget because I think they shot it for like
All you need is a
$40 million.
some
And
prosthetics.
I
Such
think
a low budget.
and there's like a very obvious intentional kind of campy B movie feel to it, right? So so I think it's meant to kind of pay homage to the original, but also kind of give it that little like camp factor. So I don't know. I thought it was schlocky compared to what we saw in
the
Aliens.
script certainly is pretty schlocky, but it's knowingly schlocky. It's like embracing these tropes.
Totally.
Yeah, it's full of tropes, but like I found I liked Predators. I enjoy, this is a thing that's a bias that's going to come into this. I actually really enjoy the Predator franchise. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really like just a cool like design concept for like a sci-fi entity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely been a fan, and I've seen a lot of the movies. And I've like never seen the Alien movies. So I'd never seen Aliens before. I've only seen Alien versus Predator.
So you hadn't seen Alien?
I'd never seen Alien. I've seen clips of it though. Like, it's so out there, but I've never sat down and watched the whole movie before. Okay.
It's very not Aliens.
Yeah, I've heard it's much more like spooky.
Not at all. I watched.
Right? It's like scarier. This is
it's like a psychological horror film.
Yeah, I'm bad with those.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are, right?
I'm spooked.
Because we watched Alien together, right?
You hated it.
Did I hate it?
You did.
I hate. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I were to watch it now side by side with Aliens, I'd like it a lot more.
Right.
You'd be like, oh, that one's better.
Oh, that's clear. I understand why that was so popular.
Yeah.
I was the reverse of you, Jack. I have never seen a Predator film.
Oh, no way.
At all. I think I've watched the end of like Aliens versus Predators 2.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Is that the one where they like go to New York or something?
They were in like Antarctica or something.
That's Alien versus
Predator.
1.
Oh, that's the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's I've seen
Predator 2, they're in New York.
Predator 2.
With like Danny Glover.
Yeah.
It's good. Both Predator 1 and 2 are fun movies.
Is Schwarzenegger in both of them?
No. He's just in one.
Just in the first one.
And then Danny Glover is in 2.
Oh, he's like the star of the. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
But I love the Alien franchise. I have a huge chip on my shoulder for James Cameron, so that's my bias going in. You both know it.
That's why I chose these movies.
He's an asshole prick hack, but After watching Aliens, I think.
What exactly? Can we just back up for a second? What exactly is a prick hack?
It's James Cameron, apparently.
I think he thinks this is early James Cameron, and it's very similar to like early Tim Burton, where he's still using his ingenuity to come up with shots and like props and effects that were unheard of at the time, and so it's still like fascinating to watch his mind go make these scenes. I rewatched the end of Avatar today because of the like mech suit similarities in final battles.
Right.
The ending of Avatar is absolute trash, and that film is stupid. But
I can't wait to watch it for this podcast.
We'll have it on. But I will say, I spent 4 hours yesterday trying to fix my entertainment computer, and I was just mentally fucking exhausted and furious by the end of the whole saga with trying to get my computer to work again. And I finally got Predators going, and it was the greatest thing I could have ever hoped to watch after being so angry and mad at the world for things breaking down. Putting on Predators made me the happiest person on planet Earth.
Oh my God, I'm so happy you guys enjoyed this movie because
I had such a great time watching it.
It's a lot of fun, right?
It's better than I even remember. I saw it in theaters like years ago. Actually, I did, yeah, and I enjoyed it way more. I'm way more okay with the ending being a bit more open. It seemed like they were kind of leaning into like sequels.
I loved the ending of this movie. We can get into it later, but I thought the ending of this movie was like exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about Predators though. Like, let's talk about it. Like, that's what this podcast is for.
Should we throw down some summaries?
Let me synopsize the fuck out of this,
We do
guys.
some fucking synopsises.
I don't know either of you.
I'm Daniel. I'm Daniel Benoit.
Once per podcast. That's it.
Okay, so in a nutshell, Predators basically is about a group of elite soldiers and killers from different walks of life who get airdropped into an alien jungle and learn that they've been brought there as prey for an alien race of super hunters who do this season by season for the purpose of just becoming better hunters. And
they're like a game reserve.
Yeah, and that's essentially the entire movie. And then it's just about them trying to survive this hunt and find a way off what they learned is a totally alien planet. And they introduce what I thought was cool is that you only learn 2 of their names, I think, by the end of the movie, right? You just learn their kind of their past and their occupation.
There was one part where
there's a couple of them get
Adrien
names.
Brody points at one. He's like, "That's Spetsnaz," and then he points at someone else, and that's Marcestus.
No, he was talking about their military background.
Oh. Yeah, Spetsnaz, like the Russian army.
So I only know Yakuza and Mob.
So there was Yakuza, there was Spetsnaz, there was I think he called it RUF, which was like a death. What do you call it? I have it in my notes. Like a death group out of Sierra Leone.
Oh yeah.
And then there was there was Danny Trejo or Trejo,
who was part of the Mexican cartel.
Yeah, like an enforcer.
And then
2 submachine guns.
Yeah, which I thought was great. And then there was, I guess, just like a Latin sniper. The woman, Isabel?
She was like actual, like in the military.
He said,
was.
Are you IDF? Which I know is Israeli Defense Force. So I think she might be like.
That tracks.
Oh, maybe.
Israeli or something.
Maybe. Yeah. And then Adrien Brody, who's the lead of the film, doing his like best impression of a badass soldier.
Which I bought a surprising amount.
I hated it.
I was really ready to be like, okay, give us your best. Then I was like, I am somehow buying this more than I thought I would.
I'm convinced that Adrien Brody was doing some kind of 4D chess performance art in this role, where he'd used all his actor
4D
tricks.
chess performance art?
Yes.
Like he's thinking like outside of the big picture. Even.
Oh, gotcha.
He'd analyzed all these little moments, which I wrote into my notes as bad boy Brody moments, and I think we should all just embrace that terminology. Where he circled these in the script and said, okay, this is a cool movie moment where I'm a badass, so I'm going to be a badass. And he gave it so much effort being a badass. He just like went so hard into that it actually like is commentary on itself.
Well, that was the thing. I think that the only saving grace of that whole situation is the fact that I think it's supposed to be a commentary on like the archetypes of these characters.
Sure,
right? To a point where the Topher Grace at one point is just like, hey, where's the tough guy? Because that's essentially all he's supposed to be, right? It's just like the tough American soldier.
Yeah, his lines are like, "I'm better alone anyway," and like his one right early on, I made a note of because I was like, "Lol," but they all get dropped in, you mentioned, like there's parachutes, which is hilarious. I love it as like so open on movie. Our main character is falling from the sky.
That is how you start a film.
I'm like, that's fun. Like, great.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's great. And also it's like puts us in the place like that's where they are. Like, it's actually good, like filmmaking. And then they find one like, or he lands and he sees this other woman. And then one just like lands, like hits the forest jungle next to them. And he's like, guess his chute didn't open. It's like, hey, thank you.
This crumpled pile of humans.
Yeah,
which I thought was such a nice touch for that whole device. The fact that they just had a random character who just dies on impact. I thought it was great.
That's all great, but it's just like as a line, like for what his character was like. I guess his chute, I'm better. It's just all just like him grizzly mumbling, like cliches.
Shall I summarize Aliens before we hop into?
Did we say everything about essentially? So did we?
I don't think there's much more to say about that movie.
The movie is just them realizing that they are in the situation and then trying to survive / like kill the multiple. There's 3 predators that are hunting them, and Adrien Brody really wants to not go beyond that, but like get off the planet.
And also they run into Lawrence Fishburne at one point and learn that he's been there for 10 seasons, as they call it, because I guess
which is apparently 10 days.
Yeah, it seems to be like 10 days.
Is that really what it's supposed to be?
It's hard to tell because
it's very hard to tell.
Because like the movie ends with like the night has passed and it's dawn and there are more parachutes dropping in. So is that another season?
But they didn't see. That was the only thing that confused me, because I thought when they were looking out and they saw things in the sky at the very end of the movie, I thought they were going to see the aliens leaving. Because and I thought that would indicate the season, because the aliens would come, do their hunt, leave, and then come back for another season.
I think the whole planet is like one game. I was under the assumption that these 3 predators were the only like predators on the planet, and they were just hunting everything that dropped.
Oh, but when Lawrence Fishburne is talking about it, he talks about how they come and they do their thing, and then when they come back, they're better hunters. They've changed their weapons or their tactics or whatever. So I thought that was happening. So I wasn't sure if the people that were dropping in at the end were just new people part of the same season. Because what I will say is, if Lawrence Fishburne has only been there for 10 days,
that's a drop.
Yeah, unless he was like already mentally ill. Right? Because he's talking to himself.
It seems like he's been there for years.
Which is what I think they were trying to imply.
Yeah, they're trying to imply that it's also been like, a long time. Anyway, so that's the movie.
And then Aliens, if you haven't seen it, it's voted the best sequel movie of all time by some publication a while ago. It picks up...
I think it was O Magazine.
Yeah, Oprah.
I'm pretty sure it was O Magazine.
Ellen Ripley is awoken from her deep space sleep after the events of Alien, the film. And it turns out she's overslept when she was supposed to wake up by 57 years, or when she left Earth the first time. It's been 57 years, and she is brought back to an Earth that is very alien to her. Her daughter has passed away since she's been gone, so there's really nothing keeping her there, and she has her her like ship piloting license revoked by the Wutani. What's their name?
I don't know.
Oh, I should know this. I should know this.
Yeah, you should know this. I've never seen these movies. I don't know why you're looking at me.
Anyways, the big evil corporation. Anyways, she's asked to the colony that this corporation has set up on the planet from the first movie, where the alien species is first found. There's been a colony set up there, but they lose contact with it. So this company asks her to go with the Space Marines to this colony to find out what's going on. We meet a whole host of archetypal characters in this Space Marine force, and the who's supposed to be her friend is going with her, a representative from the company, and they arrive. Obviously, these aliens are running amok. You can't control nature. You can't colonize nature that you don't understand. And
that's not part of the movie. That's just Sean's input.
That's my input. It's kind of part of, that's part of the whole series, I'd say.
Okay, I see.
Overarching theme. And They shoot the aliens a bunch, and then
they
the
shoot
movie
the
ends.
Yeah, it's kind of does feel like that.
And the movie just
actually
ends.
I can't remember how it ends. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
it ends with her like next to her adopted daughter. Oh yes, they meet a child who's been hiding away, called Newt, who witnessed her entire family be brutally murdered by all of these aliens, and
well, they would have just been abducted.
True.
The aliens take them.
Captured.
Yeah. But still, like, scary as shit.
And then Sigourney kind of adopts her as her daughter, or definitely.
Well, yeah, because Newt calls her mommy at the end, right? Yeah. Yeah, and then the movie just ends. There's a big final climactic scene, and then they're sleeping, and the movie's over. And okay, was that just a thing that happened in movies in the 80s where they just felt like there was no need for like a falling action in a film once they had beaten the big bad guy?
After seeing Jaws?
After seeing Jaws, the same thing. They beat the shark, and then the movie ends in the next scene.
They're like, it's done. What else?
Like, I'd argue, I don't know if I fully believe this, but I'd argue that the falling action is the fight with the queen. And the climax is actually the destruction of the colony of predators, of aliens, and that the like coming to terms with like mother versus mother stuff by killing the queen is the falling action, and then we get the like ending of being able to go back to a life with a daughter figure in mind, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, sure,
I don't fully
but
buy it.
No,
it's kind of like more like
Fucking
it's
rubes.
like it kind of felt like
fucking
that
rubes.
the fight with the alien queen felt a bit more like Climax Part 2.
Yeah,
I remember being like, oh, and now we do that, because I knew that was coming. I knew that part about this movie.
the mech suit fight
The
to
mech
the
suit.
death.
So cool.
It's so cool.
I mean, let me rephrase. The reveal of her in the mech suit,
mech seat,
the mech suit,
as it shall.
the reveal of her in
now
the mech suit with like the backlighting and just like her standing there is one of like, I think one of the great sci-fi moments out there. It's like one of those ones that you're like, oh shit, like it's great. And then the fight is like in silence, which I appreciate actually. There's no music, but it's a bit of a derpy fight, and it goes on a bit long.
Very derpy.
Well, because the robot is so fucking slow.
Yeah, so it's like, and it's like no music. So it's like this cool reveal, and then it's like,
and it's a, I
and
think
then it's
my
like
note,
she kind of like the alien like kind of seems like it stops fighting her at one point. Like it's not,
and it just like is
doing
kind of
much.
circling her and kind of stalking her a little bit.
She has time to like make an adjustment on her keypad, while the alien's just like, yeah, of course, do that, and then she kind of goes and like grabs it, and then just picks it up and just like goes to drop it. So that part, it's kind of felt like a denouement, because it's like she's like just got to tidy up this last loose end here.
Yeah, we're just gonna slow the pace right down this movie, and
not much of a
but
problem.
then it brings her down with it. That's the falling action there. They fall into the pit.
Literal falling action.
Well done.
Yeah.
But like major plot hole, because that airlock opens and it's enough to suck the alien and the machine right out, but somehow Ripley is able to climb up that ladder with like little effort.
Plot armor, baby.
Plot armor?
Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate that she locks her elbow into it, at least.
Right. So she locks her elbow to prevent herself from getting pulled out, because the force of the vacuum is so strong, but then she's able to climb out.
I think we've successfully told the ending of both films at the beginning of this podcast.
Well, thanks for listening.
Well, and also, I mean, at least we're providing context for the first time.
Yeah.
But if you're watching this, if you're listening to this podcast, hopefully you watch these movies ahead of time or something like that, or at least you understand that like there's going to be spoilers.
These are two movies that you should watch.
Oh yeah, they're super fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really glad that I watched Aliens.
I'm so happy.
Killing it with
I'm
your choices.
so happy.
I had a great time watching them. Aliens, like I thought it's like, again, I get more spooked about stuff like tension. Like I feel tension like that. But I also was familiar that, like, I think even maybe you said this, that like the first Aliens is the kind of spooky psychological thriller one.
Yeah.
And the second one is like, okay, let's go back now with like a bunch of like super macho space marines, and they just like shoot them in this movie. Like it's
and I think
more of an action flick.
I think that's where my initial dislike for this film lay, because I watched 10 years ago, I was introduced to the Alien series, vamping up for when Prometheus came out. And I really like Prometheus. I know it is a schlock film that we will probably cover at some point. I really enjoy that film. Alien, I was introduced with that, and it was this just beautiful, like, slow build to this like terrifying chase through the ship. at the end and the final fight. And I was expecting Aliens, when I saw it the first time, to be more of that like chilling, you don't know what's going to happen horror. And instead it was Bill Paxton screaming every 3 scenes.
Man,
was he just doing coke between scenes?
Probably.
He was out of his mind.
He was like, I made a note about that. He's just like unbearable.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to listen to him.
Game over, man.
Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah, and so I kind of expected the same thing, but I will say that like this movie, the first one was really spooky because it's kind of that Jaws thing where you don't know what's hunting you.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, when you finally get a glimpse of the alien in the first movie, you can tell it's just a guy in spandex.
Yeah.
But the movie is freaky because you don't know what it is. You barely see it, right? This time around, you know exactly what it is, so it's not as scary. But I found that as the movie ramped up, it got way more suspenseful and a lot more kind of edge of your seat spooky.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I found that Predators did the opposite. I found Predators had a killer setup and got really interesting, and then just became kind of like white noise near the end.
Second half isn't as good. It like visually becomes pretty hard to watch.
Well, it's just a wash of explosions and Adrien Brody's
it's so
nipples.
dark. I couldn't see. Sorry,
There were
what?
times.
Sorry, of explosions and what?
And Adrien Brody's nipples.
And his nipples.
There were times. There were 2 or 3 times in Predators where Aaron was working in the corner and I had the headphones on watching the film, and I couldn't stop myself bursting out laughing when Adrien Brody would have one of his Bad Boy Brody moments. One was when he pulled out a knife to knife fight the dog thing. He was out of ammo and he just was like, "Ugh," and pulls out the knife as it's charging. And I laughed so hard because he thought that was so cool and it really wasn't. And then when he's just shirtless standing in the flames at the end.
But also like props to Adrien Brody because he's shredded.
Yeah,
like, he got in fucking great shape for this movie.
I actually noticed it not when he's like just standing there. It's one thing. There's a shot of him running just a moment later, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like when you see it moving,
Can
it's
you
like
just quickly look up his workout regimen?
I'll do that towards the end. Yeah.
It reminds me of. Did you see the new King Kong movie, Kong Skull Island or whatever?
No. Yeah, I
Yes,
love it.
Like,
I think I watched it with
it's like
one of you. It might have been you.
We may have watched it, but it's like seeing Tom Hiddleston in that movie reminds me of Adrien Brody in this movie, where it's like a guy being like this really tough dude, and it's like, you're a pretty boy who like just wants to do a dramatic turn, like, but sure, let's have you in this action movie.
Yeah.
So,
but anyways, so yeah, I think that that Aliens actually did a great job of kind of building suspense as it went, and you alluded to it earlier. A lot of that had to do with the lack of music. Mm-hmm. And just as kind of like the silence and just kind of the ambient sound effects of what's happening.
They're both pretty quiet movies.
I don't know. I was paying particular attention
so.
to Predators, and there's a pretty consistent score throughout.
Predators had some questionable scoring.
Did you hear that one part where it was like suddenly Peter and the Wolf?
Yes.
They were like, suddenly it's like boo doo 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 doo
yeah.
doo doo doo.
We might be thinking of the same moment, but there's one where like I think they've just left Danny Trejo dead in the in the grass, and the next shot it like should be a real like surreal kind of like sad moment, but instead the music is like doo doo doo.
What's happening in the scene?
And there's like flutes
they're just like walking through the grass really forlorn.
It was a really funny like random moment.
That's really funny.
It reminded me of Home Alone.
Oh god.
Which is good. That's exactly what you want to be thinking of.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, I like so Aliens, it was definitely quiet. Like I really liked it in the beginning. Like the whole opening sequence is really cool. And like just like again the idea of like the silence of space and all that stuff, because she's found by a salvage team or something like that. They're like anyway,
which I wasn't clear as to why those guys were wearing masks.
You don't know what's in this like wrecked ship that's just floating through space.
But they didn't know that it was safe when they found her. They didn't know that just because they found a person in stasis that suddenly the environment was like safe to breathe
there wasn't
in.
a line where one of them was like, oh, there's
like clear oxygen.
We're good to breathe.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
I kind of have that too. I need someone to spoon feed me information.
Yeah, or even just like if you looked at it as like a wrist gadget and like a green light went off and then he was like, okay.
Yeah.
But there wasn't anything. It was, I know what you mean. It was a bit unprompted that I was like, oh, I thought you were in like the vacuum of space kind of. I guess we're not.
Yeah.
But anyway, but it was a really cool opening sequence. and I noticed a lot how like sparse the music was. Overall though, like, so talking about sound in this movie though, like I loved the visuals of Aliens. I can't believe how I made multiple notes. I'm like, they made 1 million practical sets.
The model work is beautiful.
Yeah, because all that is just
unbelievable.
It's 6 by 6 foot by 3 foot models. All the like the city is they built the like little colony out of models. It's
it's pretty incredible. Yeah.
And like, but all the interior sets that they made, like fucking everything is practical. They have a shot of people coming out of stasis and they build 12 pods and like a whole room. Like, it's incredible what they did. But like listening to this movie was a pain in the ass. This is one where I go, the levels were. Oh yeah. I
didn't have that problem at all.
I felt like it was. This is a movie where it's like people are speaking really quietly and then it's like loud, screamy explosion gunfights.
Well, luckily the speaking like largely is done about an hour into the film, and then it's just shooting and explosions.
Yeah, but then whenever like it's like if I turn my TV down because it's all, but then someone's like, so where are we gonna? We need to get back to the. You're like fucking what? What are you talking about? So, it wasn't super balanced for me.
Oh.
I mean, you joke about it being my TV, but I don't think it is.
Well, I watched it on Crave through my TV, and
it was on Crave.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, it was on Crave. Found that out.
Advertising Crave.
Shout out to Crave.
Brought to you by Crave.
Looking for some sponsorship.
Sponsor us, Crave.
Sponsorship.
Bell Media. We will suck your dick for a little bit of money.
Wow, that's true. Or for free. Just mention us.
Yeah.
Bell Media. I don't know. I kind of found the opposite. I thought that the set design of the film, was incredible, but I thought that it was kind of wasted because the cinematography was very mediocre. I thought I wanted so much more from the camera work, given the fact that it had such a beautiful landscape and such like great mold to work with.
Yeah,
and I felt like it was basic. Yeah. And that it kind of, I don't know.
I wonder if that was
Aliens.
I wonder if that was like a technical hang up. Like they built some incredible rooms and stuff for them to act in, but as a result, they could only show so much of that room because like the second half of it wasn't there type stuff. You never know with how these movies are made.
Well, I mean, maybe, but I mean, you'd also imagine that they'd have some kind of layout in mind of what shots they wanted and build the set accordingly, right? Like the director would be involved in that whole process.
Like when you want it to be a really great moment, like when the Marines first get into like the alien enclave and they find this like, like clearly very alien encrusted like tunnel system and they find some of the people that have been like stuck to the walls and all that. Like you want it to be more cinematic, whatever that means. Like you want it to have, but it felt very basic, and I was like trying to kind of see what was.
I really enjoyed like whenever they went into one of those rooms and we were looking at it from the control room. I thought showing it only through their like fuzzy little shoulder cam things was a really cool way to keep the violence and keep the horror hidden a little longer and build that suspense even more.
That
okay
was
for the violence and the horror, but I mean just when they got there I wanted to see what they were seeing,
right?
But part of me was like, what are you seeing? Like I just wanted them to help me see that. Whereas I got it later though. I made a note of how cool it was. I thought it was a great reveal, like when she comes into like the birth chamber of the queen and and like just the look and her realizing that all the eggs are around her, and then like just like the egg sack and then the pen, like it's a great reveal. It is awesome.
And that fucking alien
so great,
terrifying,
unbelievable. Like some of the I just don't know, like
it's actually kind of amazing this step up in just like design of the alien itself between the first one and the second one, because again the first one is just it's a guy in like black spandex and kind of a huge helmet.
They had a puppet too for the close-up stuff where it was just like the head moving in and the like jaw opening.
Oh sure, but I mean this one you have like that scene where they can read them and it looks like they're in the room and they find out that there's like 17 of them climbing into the ceiling, and then they have that shot of them all kind of I thought it looked incredible.
I think they hired dancers to portray the ones that actually you can see crawling and stuff.
That makes a lot of sense.
They had dancers in the suits.
That makes a lot of sense.
Just be like, wow.
But I was really impressed with how I thought it was
how
a
they looked in
gigantic
general. they looked amazing.
Yeah.
Like this movie looks fantastic. Like for like the effects of it, like the practical effects of it, like translate completely to now. Yeah. Like it seems like I feel like they were limited somehow in their filmmaking of it, but
I don't know. They clearly
James Cameron always says that like he until Avatar, he never had the technology to make the films that he really wanted to be making.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank God.
But it didn't seem like he was limited in resources for this film. I mean, it seemed like he obviously there was money to build this elaborate set.
It sounds like I read a little bit in the Wikipedia page about the build-up, and it sounds like because he did Terminator, and only because Terminator was a success, they were like, okay, you can do Aliens. And he's actually said that he spent a lot of filming Terminator, trying out things for Aliens. So I'd like to watch Terminator and see like what things cross over there. But the studio didn't really want to make this movie because they knew it would probably cost to whatever the
probably like $30 million in that day.
Really expensive amount of money for that day. And they weren't sure if like they knew Alien was like a success, but it wasn't big enough success to maybe make a sequel and put more money into it.
Right.
So I don't know what his budget really was like.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of just felt like he was relying a lot on the set design itself. And like, I guess I'm spoiled because we just watched Jaws, where every shot of that movie is beautiful, and they have they don't have the same kind of set design that Aliens has. Yeah, but you can tell that every frame of that film is meant to help kind of tell the story in an interesting way, as opposed to this where we always have interesting shit to look at, but the camera kind of just is pointed at it. Yeah, there wasn't enough. There was like a couple of really cool reveals, but for the most part, it kind of just felt like, okay, now we're just going to cover the action of this scene instead of finding a cool way to shoot it. You know what I mean?
That's kind of what I'm saying. That like they built a lot of practical sets, and most of the sets are quite tight.
Yes.
Like there's not a lot of open spaces for them to work in. So it's not like it's the sword fight from Princess Bride where it's like this large like castle side thing on a mountain.
I love that movie so much.
So good.
So great. Just think about that movie for a second. But it's like little tight spaces. So that's why I'm saying I wonder if there was like a technical hang up that they made the spaces and they were like, this looks great. And then they got the like camera equipment in there and they were like, oh,
fuck.
Right. Yeah.
Like I just wonder if they like designed it first and like, yeah, this is cool. And it's like cramped.
And they get there and they're like, oh, fuck.
And you're like, oh yeah, it's like, so can we build a track? It's like, no, we can't build a track.
Well, there was so much handheld stuff going on in this film. Yeah. So maybe there's probably something to that.
Yeah. I fell deeply in love with Sigourney Weaver in this film because she is the baddest ass motherfucking like hero possible.
She's a dope hero in this movie.
She is fantastic.
She's great.
I was skeptical at the beginning. She took a little while to win me over, but something about the opening scenes of this movie, she just felt kind of flat and like despondent, which I guess makes sense because she's been in hypersleep for 57 years and now she's kind of faced with these bureaucrats who are just kind of fucking her over. But I don't know. There's just something there was something weird about her energy off the top that I felt was kind of.
Well, she's defeated at the beginning, right?
Yeah, but it was kind of the same problem I had with her in Alien. And I remembered it when I watched Aliens in the first, 15 minutes. I was like, oh, yeah, there's something. And I know it's a character choice, but it wasn't quite landing. But then as the movie went on, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I would want her on my team any fucking day.
Yeah, because she's super reluctant at the beginning.
Yes.
She's like, it's not my business.
Yeah.
Definitely just don't go there.
Even when she hears there's families there, she's like, nope, I'm done.
So that shift certainly happens. I'll let you speak, Sean, but certainly like I would love to see more action movies led by like female actors.
And
but
James Cameron writes great roles for female protagonists.
But like done like this, where it's not like they have to be a guy to do it.
Yeah.
But she is strong in her own way. She's resourceful. She is like compassionate when it's
this film doesn't just introduce her as being this like the Mary Sue is the term for someone who can do everything right off the bat.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so great at everything. It shows her at the beginning being defeated, being told that she is out of time, being told that her daughter is dead, and
Which I totally didn't catch, by the way.
Yeah, that's the second time you said that. I had no idea that her daughter was dead.
How? It's like he comes. It's a huge part of the scene.
What part is that?
Bert comes in and he's like, "Oh, your hearing is soon. Are you ready?" And she's like, "What about my daughter?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll get to that." Anyway, so then and he speaks and she's like, "What about my daughter?" And he says, "Oh, I did a little digging. Here she is, blah, 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 66 years old at the time of her death, which was about 3 years ago."
Yo, was this an extended cut?
Yeah, I have
maybe
no
my
idea.
totally legal online copy.
Well, the extended cut DVD that you own.
Yeah, might have been.
Because I
don't
feel
think that
fairly certain that was in the movie I saw.
It's so important.
And yet tis not there.
Shit. Crave.
Yeah, I feel very sure that it wasn't there.
Bullshit. Well, in that really important scene, wow, I can't believe that's not it's so important to her character, because that's where she starts off, just completely destroyed, and slowly through the movie she starts taking initiative, and by the end she is the like baddest motherfucking.
Yeah, and that also
hearing, like, I don't
explains
even know.
a lot in terms of her attachment to Newt.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, that makes sense, but I didn't catch that at all. Does her daughter play a big part of the first one? I forget.
No, she's not in it at all. Because this is her return trip from when she went out, and her daughter was 11. They say her daughter was 11 when she left to do the mission that is Alien.
Right.
Which I felt a lot in this movie, like I did in Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
In the opening scene, where I was like, oh, I immediately think that I probably should have seen the first one more recently to catch up to what's happening.
I mean, I'd like never seen it, but that's okay. I'm happy to have different perspectives. You can be the guy who knows them really well. I can be the guy who doesn't know them at all. You can be the guy who kind of knows.
I'm the guy who like should know it because I've seen it but don't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayland Yutani. That's the corporation.
What? Did they mention that name at all in the movie?
It doesn't matter. This is Sean has to know for himself that he knows the name of it. I want to talk about some of the stuff.
I kind of wish you had stood up at that point and be like,
Wayland Yutani.
Yeah, show off them
That's
shorts.
That's going to be a terrible clip to edit in the fucking
table.
Post.
This and the socks, sexy. There's the thing about Aliens, like the design is so great, but some of the story elements are like so dumb to me.
Oh
yes.
Where it's like, there are some plot holes in this fucking movie, man.
And just like choices where it's like, oh, we're in space on a spacecraft. If you could just join us in our spacecraft boardroom. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you have a boardroom? Because it's like, I guess James Cameron's thing is the idea that like, if you go to space, it'll be for like boardroom meetings.
Oh, of course.
For stadium and stuff like that.
I guess everything is happening in space at that point, right?
Everything. Yeah. So everything would exactly translate to space. I get it. Like, I understand why, but it's just silly that like, it would still look like a boardroom on Earth. Like it just like.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, if it's humans building it, don't you think that they would just kind of transfer the pre-existing idea of a boardroom into space?
It's just the thing I roll my eyes at. Like I roll my eyes too at the I was like, advanced future society, same macho army bullshit. It's just the idea that like we've advanced so much, but like nothing has changed.
That's a big problem I had too.
That's the thing that I'm more talking about, not a specific design of a boardroom.
Right.
But it's like businesses are still run the same way. The army is still run like it's Full Metal Jacket. Like.
Well, that was his point with making this film. This is James Cameron's Vietnam film. All his director friends were making their Vietnam films.
Does he know that they're in space?
Well, it's an allegory.
What does he think that Vietnamese people look like?
The aliens. Yeah. Which is why you have the aliens coming wave after wave after wave into unremitting machine gun fire and still not stopping, and the like 6 Marines that are left being like, what are we doing here? Why are we on this planet? But James Cameron wasn't in Vietnam. He's not American. I'm sure he has a lot of American friends from that point. So I kind of feel like he felt left out as all his friends were making their Vietnam films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I never really picked up on that, but yeah.
I just thought the army stuff was like, you could do that without trying to do like a Full Metal Jacket comparison where like there's like a drill sergeant with them for some reason
who just like literally eats his fucking cigar.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? I have it in my notes.
It's the stereotype
my
thing.
note is it typical to just chomp on a cigar while you're smoking it?
You can like
Yeah.
Are you sure it was a cigar or was he chewing something else? You can chew a cigar though.
Yeah.
No, but he has like a rolled. It's something. It's either a cigar or a blunt, and he
pulls it out as soon as he's awake,
which I thought was a funny touch.
Yeah.
But then there's points where he's literally like a horse eating grass. Like chewing
it's a bit of a thing.
Yeah, because like the tobacco gives out little oils, and you're
yeah.
Sorry,
But
what is
just-
it like? Thank you.
But just the idea though that you know what I mean, like we're like way in the future, but like the military is being run by still a bunch of like fucking shit kickers who are just like screaming at each other and like let's go shoot shit, which is like
I
not
kind of,
unlikely, but
yeah, I kind of feel like if we're talking about the American military, that's exactly how it's going to be.
I mean,
the uniforms might look different, which bothered me. That they look too similar to what, because the whole idea of camouflage is that you are trying to camouflage into a jungle environment or into the environment that you'll be fighting in, right? So shouldn't their camouflage be the color of like the metal or like the grayscale?
Yeah, but it's again a choice to make it the Vietnam allegory film that he wanted.
that's what I'm kind of saying.
Fuck you,
like I
James
just wanted
Cameron.
it to be a bit more like adapted to the movie.
Right.
It just felt a bit like out of place.
Sure.
And like I kind of rolled my eyes at it a lot.
Yeah.
And you have like Vasquez and her buddy, like
both
everything,
films
just everything they did.
Feisty, Latina,
One is Israeli.
Or potentially Israeli, yeah.
True, yeah.
But I thought Predators did it well because at least her performance was kind of understated or a bit more subtle.
She's like a person.
She's a person, but it felt like I now that you've explained the allegory element of this film, it makes more sense. But it felt like the characters and aliens were written to have one personality trait, and that was it.
Yeah.
Throughout, and they were just told to like go
James Cameron.
balls to the wall. This is what you do.
There's a lot of like hand, like you know, the cool handshake and like
yeah. Just remember
and,
you're
like,
soldiers, and that's
do this.
like gonna go kill some bugs, and like it's like them, just like they're only cliches.
yeah.
Except for the one dude who survives, I guess, and bonds with Ripley, who's just like, hey, like, hi.
Who's
what's up?
like hot for Ripley.
Marisa,
right away.
as soon as she saw him on screen, she's like, so he's going to be the only surviving guy, and he's going to be in charge because he's gorgeous.
Yep.
And then
He was
like,
gorgeous.
He was.
dreamy.
He was. I was like, you're almost too gorgeous to be an actor in this movie.
Yeah.
Because the rest of them are.
I was like, normally people in the military don't look like you, buddy. Here. They don't. The American military does not target your type.
They're Marines. They're the cream of the cream.
Agree with the cream.
Yeah, they really act like it.
I mean,
But they're still. Anyways, I'm done with it. We can leave it. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was
Jack's
dumb.
retiring from aliens.
It's like they were still in training. They had, again, like the drill sergeant being like, all right, like they should have just been a functioning military unit at that point.
Yeah.
It didn't need like, but they were treating it like they were in boot camp still. Anyway,
I thought the drop scene was really what was actually like showed character moments that were stupidly stereotypical.
Yeah, it was better.
As she like scans, she sees like our beautiful leading boy there,
Hicks,
who's asleep as they're dropping into the atmosphere because he's done 100 jumps and 100 drops, and then the new guy who's like
the lieutenant
who's supposed to be in charge of the entire thing, and it's
like I've
only
done 58 tests, like
Simulations,
simulated jumps, and 2 counting this one.
Yeah,
real ones.
And he gets so frustrating, that scene when like shit goes south, and oh man, that is so hard to watch.
Yeah, but it happens.
Which scene is this? When
where you can't handle what's happening as the aliens are destroying his platoon.
Is that right after he tells them to give up all their ammunition?
Yes. Oh, and I hated that.
I thought that scene was so fucking stupid, if only for the reason that anybody who has any military training would fucking tell their soldiers why they can't fire a bullet in that environment. They wouldn't just say, give up your ammo. They would say, this is why. So then you wouldn't have the people who are trying to hoard ammunition to save their ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because give up your, like, I thought it was like a really weak.
He just said collect your magazines, and with
which
zero
doesn't make any sense, which is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard of like, give up your ammunition.
I guess the flamethrower, the premise of this is that they're going into the like sub basement of a like thermonuclear reactor area, I suppose.
You said thermal, right?
It's thermal. It's filled with underwear. And the reasoning the movie gives is that they have to give up all their explosive ammunition that they use because a small explosion would set off a chain reaction that would cause the whole like station to go into a nuclear explosion.
And that is what happens, right? Like that.
Yes, that's
the gunfire is what causes the venting. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't totally clear on that.
Because they do have the ammunition. So
yeah, they do end up shooting a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this lieutenant tells them to turn in all their ammunition because he doesn't want them firing and only use flamethrowers. And I'm pretty sure that's still going to cause a reaction.
Still seems like a problem. Yeah. It just like, it seemed like a really contrived thing to make them not have access to guns for that scene. And I was just kind of,
and it is another film that uses its child character purely to cause them to get lost so that more drama danger happens. Like, oh no, the kid is now lost in the vent. We have to get the kid because the kid wandered off.
But also that kid, the whole sequence where the kid runs off and falls down the vent and then they have to go find her. Like, that kid has been surviving in that world for, I don't know.
A long time.
Yeah.
For like weeks, it's implied.
Supposedly weeks and so she at this point would know better than to walk through the halls of this colony screaming. When she's in the water screaming for Ripley, like she would have learned by now that you can't make noise. Like, she understands how these things work, and yet she just forgets all of it now that she's made a friend.
Yeah,
which I thought was
she made a mommy.
Yeah, I think she also knows it well enough to know that she's like a little fucked in the situation that she's in. Is what is kind of my kind of thought on it.
I guess.
I know
but the military uniforms were ridiculous.
Let's talk about costumes.
Let's talk costumes.
Well, can we also talk about the fact that the military presence in this film, just to begin with, kind of came out of nowhere? Like so when she's pushing to get everyone to believe that there's aliens on this planet, no one's having it.
No.
They're like, this is ridiculous. There's been no actual evidence that these things exist. There's been people living on this planet for 20 or 30 years. Everything is fine. We're completely dismissing this idea. And in the next scene, you find out that they've lost transmission from the colony, and their very first assumption is it's got to be these aliens. Let's send in Ripley and the military.
Well, I read it more as like they're like, we don't know what it is, but in case it's this, it is these aliens. We'll send in the Marines, and we want you to go in case it is these weird aliens.
But what I'm saying is, they were so dismissive. They wouldn't even assume that it was even a possibility.
Yeah.
And now, even if they think it might be a possibility, their first course of action is to send in the military with a bunch of fucking huge guns.
And well, isn't it kind of implied by the end too with the double cross of Burke that
they want research.
They actually kind of want to bring back the aliens as much as anything.
Yeah.
So which is weird because it seems like that's the priority at that point, actually. Like, that's the real reason they're going in the first place, actually, is to bring back some because that's like a salvageable income to be made from this thing.
Which was slimy as fuck, and that double cross where he tries to trap them in the room so the parasites can
I thought he was
them.
Really good.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the movie, I was totally tricked too. I was like, this is someone who's I wouldn't say trust him, but like, okay.
Yeah. Well, also speaking about costumes, he was much more trustworthy because of his like perma-popped collar on his blazer.
And like puffy vest.
That's what our collars are in the future.
Yeah.
But he's dressed like what's his face from Back to the Future? Like he has like the puffy vest, and he's like, hey, I'm just a guy on a skateboard. I'm just Marty McFly here. Yeah. I also think it's funny that like this movie tackles that issue. So like apparently we've known that capitalism is the worst at least for 40 years now. So just wondering when we're going to fix that shit, because he's the worst. Like he is just awful. Every response he has to a concern is just terrible. Where they're like, people are dying. And he's like, okay, so I hear your point. And you're like,
we can make so much money.
He's like, but we just need to salvage a bit of like a profit.
Wayland
on this.
Yutani Corporation has a lot invested in this colony.
Yeah, he's like, we can't just blow it up. This is a multi-million-dollar investment.
Yeah,
and you're just like, oh my god,
blow it all up now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was nice to watch him die. I knew it was coming. Like as soon as he locks him, you know for sure that like his death is imminent. Yeah. I just kind of wanted it to be a little more graphic.
Horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted something too. I wanted to like see it from the back, like the mouth go into like his cranium.
So did you both have the scene where Ripley's talking to Newt on the she's hiding under the bed, or she's talking to her on the bed before going to sleep, and Newt is like, do you have a daughter?
Wait, sorry, who's the version I had didn't have a character named Newt. Who are you talking about?
Can you imagine? It's just like they just like CGI'd in like a remote control car. And Sigourney Weaver's like, ooh.
And she's like, do you have a daughter? And Sigourney's like, I had a daughter, or something like that. And she's like, oh, so you mean she's dead?
Yeah, that was there.
And she's like, okay, so you had that.
That scene was there, but I don't remember the part about her daughter.
I just somehow tuned out anything about another daughter. Or like that stuck with me.
Maybe
I might have
watched a director's cut or something too.
I think that I was just so invested in the Newt character that I didn't want to believe that there would have ever been another daughter.
I mean, she was a pretty rough
Ripley's
child
life.
actor. I hope we can
say
that. She
has not acted outside of that film in any other thing.
Oh no, very clearly just like a cute little girl who I think was maybe from New Zealand.
I was like, was she British?
She was English.
I couldn't
they
place her
filmed
accent.
in England.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
They come at night. They mostly come at night.
Mostly. Or in that same scene we're talking about where she's like,
oh, God.
I won't let you go, I promise. And then Newt's like, do you promise? And I
was like, oh, where are you from? Where's Mummy? I've been in the space station an awfully long time.
I've got to go talk to the Artful Dodger and Fagin.
Yeah, what I remember most from that scene though is just the unnecessary placement or turning on of the red fan just to add a bit of red light to the scene. Did you notice that?
Yeah. It was like a heater?
I think it was a heater, but it was just
sure,
like it wasn't there, and then it didn't add, there was no purpose for it. It was just to add a bit of red fill.
So there's one thing that I want to bring up too, about the alien itself. So some of the shots they got of them, like the puppets mixed with people, like quick shots of people like in some suits and stuff, like moving around, looked incredible. The first reveal of an alien in this movie is great, like it being very still on the wall and revealing is awesome. Like maybe Sean, you can help me on this.
Okay.
So first thing, I want to talk about their like intelligence.
Right.
I want to talk about that, and I don't want to talk about this. I just want to say that the acid blood concept I've always found really stupid. I think it's like lazy. It's something like a kid comes up with on a playground. Of like, no, I have acid blood, so if you cut me, it burns you to death. Like, it's really lame to me. Like, it seems like a mostly unnecessary thing.
Sure.
That I just like don't. I've never enjoyed it as a concept. So not for discussion, but the other part, the intelligence thing.
Don't comment on that because that's a fact.
Sorry,
but also
that's just what it is. It's Corona, really. No, but I was kind of like not confused, but I was like, not the right word, but like just like kind of trying to suss out like how intelligent these beings are. Yeah. Because like they're clearly like driven by this like parasitic drive.
Sure.
To take on hosts and just like expand. And we kind of see that in other movies where that's fleshed out more, where it's like that's what they just want to do.
Yeah,
their
engulf. Entire reason is procreation.
Yeah. There's no, and yet they know what a spaceship is. It seems like they know how to use the elevator, which is really funny.
Yeah.
And they also have their own spaceship because because in the first one, aren't they sent to investigate an alien spacecraft on the moon?
I think they just pick up a strange reading from the planet, so they go down to
Are you sure? Because Ripley talks about the fact that they were sent to.
There was a distress beacon from a ship that it was coming from the planet, but it wasn't supposed to be the like. Well, because then when you look at Prometheus, so if you take,
it always
Prometheus
seems like
as
they like act as like one of the face huggers gets onto a ship of another species, and then it causes all the mayhem from there. That's what it always seems like.
Because the face huggers aren't the aliens; They're like the queen lays the egg. I've always wanted
really
to piece
circular.
this together. So the queen lays the egg that has the face hugger. The egg hatches, the face hugger launches at a face and then impregnates the host with the alien fetus, and then that fetus is the alien and it chest bursts out, and that's what that is. And it doesn't procreate, I guess just the queen
just
procreates?
The queen lays the egg and doesn't mate with anything else.
Yeah, it's not really clear why or how they work like that.
No.
Well, then when the parasite, I guess, impregnates, for lack of a better word, their host, does the parasite die? Does the parasite shed what's inside of it and then dies?
Yeah, in if you recall, in Alien, John Hurt gets the face hugger on his face, and then it they try to get it off and it won't get off, and then it falls off at one point and is dead, and they're like, oh, that's weird. And then John Hurt goes like, oh, I'm hungry, num 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 num, and then at the dinner scene, the chest burster pops out of his chest.
Right. So I guess in that way, then the parasite is it is the alien. It's just like the first like form of the alien. It's like the caterpillar before the butterfly.
But it's dead. The face hugger is no longer it doesn't become the thing that is in the human, the host. It just lays. It's another fetus layer thing.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid where it's a queen lays an egg that carries a thing that carries a fetus that needs to find a host. It's I do appreciate it because it does feel very alien.
Yeah.
It feels like an odd reproductive cycle. But you could see how it would work. It very sticks to the parasitic nature of the species, where it needs essentially all the face huggers are a male, even though they are super meant to be this. They look super vaginal, like the bottom of them. But they're supposed to be the male version, and they stick that in the female, if you want to go by those terms, right? Host.
Yeah.
But it's not it seems funny because it seems a bit arbitrary, because it's not like the alien is eating the host.
No, it's just using it as
it's gestating,
yeah, it's
right?
gestating inside of it.
Yeah.
So it's not eating it. It's just using it as a warm place to come alive.
It just seems like those squishy eggs that the queen laid
would have been a good place too.
Yeah, I just don't.
Evolution, man.
But the thing is,
there's no real rhyme or reason.
But they're
for it,
supposed to be a peak evolutionary animal, so it just seems a bit silly.
Well, the queen is also I'm trying to think what we see in
because the aliens don't eat the people; they just kill them.
They just kill.
It's really weird. That's what I'm saying. I just don't fully get
what the fuck
they're doing.
Cameron changes the mythology of the alien a lot from just the one alien we see in the first film. And that alien in the first film very much you're led to believe it is smart enough to know where to hide. It kind of knows the layout of vent systems that it's in. It knows how to use that to its advantage. So the Predator, it's attuned to hunting and knowing how to hunt and how to kill. James Cameron, I think in Aliens, he expands the myth to include the queen, which we don't know about going into this film. And we do see an egg in Alien. So you do see the face hugger come out of the egg in the first film. And yeah, other than that, I don't really know. It's very convoluted, and
that's what I mean.
Prometheus was supposed to tie all that up with a nice bow, and all it did was completely make it more messy and annoying.
Great.
So really, there's not many answers.
We have to wait for Prometheus 2.
You mean Alien Covenant?
Oh right.
No, they're doing more Prometheus films, aren't they?
Well, Alien Covenant's the sequel to Prometheus.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I would have watched that movie if I knew that.
Good. Yeah, with Danny McBride.
Don't say that. Danny McBride in a dramatic turn.
Good. I will say, I think what James Cameron does with the aliens by showing them just stupidly throwing themselves at the machine guns and being run over by armored personnel carriers in the first 5 minutes of them being shown, he really makes them seem like they're dumb idiot bugs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're not smart.
Yeah,
but it seems like they maybe not. I mean, granted, because in the first one, it's just the one alien, right?
Yes.
Right. So it would seem that they have no experience with human technology, really, except for that one alien. So this would all be new stuff. So they wouldn't know what the car does to them or the guns.
True.
So, and I'm trying to remember because I don't quite remember if they get smarter as the film goes on. Because I know they take orders from the Queen. So when the Queen is like back off, they know to back off.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they become more careful.
I don't think so.
In their hunt, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, I just don't.
He makes them not scary by the end of this film.
No, they're definitely not scary. They just seem more like a nuisance.
Yeah.
But they look scary.
They look scary.
They look scary.
But then when you're watching them get their skulls crushed underneath the wheels of the armored personnel carrier, you're
and like derpily picked up by the
that was the thing. I mean, that was the thing.
Loader.
That was my problem with the whole film, was that it never really felt like for lack of a better term, the stakes were very high. Like the stakes were clearly high, but because they didn't seem like an actual threat.
Yeah.
It didn't feel as though I had to worry for the humans as much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As opposed to the Predators. Which are fucking geniuses.
Well, you start into Predators. I'm going to get another brew.
All right.
Sorry, what?
You want to hook me up there too?
Yeah. What do you want?
I don't know.
All right.
But this is the portion of the podcast where Sean and Jack decide what kind of beer they're going to drink.
I'll take it in a glass if you don't mind.
This can last anywhere between 30 seconds and 2 hours.
Yeah. How we doing? What do you think the light? Should I move the curtain or?
No, I don't know. I think that looks good.
We're lit enough. Great.
I look fantastic.
Well, I'm happy to talk about this and kind of segue into it with the Predators, which is that one of the things I like about them is that I feel like I get the concept. It's simple, but like I find it really enjoyable. Like I find it really cool. Like there's whatever factor or metric that is, but it's like they are a species that has evolved to great lengths purely like it's a culture, society or whatever, purely driven by being the greatest predator. And that has fueled all of their innovation. They don't have structures, it seems like we're never shown a predator planet in any of the movies that I know of. Like it seems like they're happy just like living, like their camp is like,
oh, maybe you're right.
Like it's all just for that reason alone.
Yeah, they're like the Spartans of space.
They're space Spartans. That's totally true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. It's a simple concept that like is usually pretty easily encapsulated, I think, in the movies in general. And like they take trophies if like one of them
they didn't really do in this movie.
The trophies thing?
Yeah.
There's one moment they get one spine pull.
Oh, I guess that's supposed to be a trophy.
To an actor, I gotta give a shout out to
Walton Goggins.
Yeah, Walton.
So good.
Goggins. I looked up his name because like Walton Goggins, because he's in a lot of good stuff.
He's good in everything.
He's great.
He's
in Westworld and
he was also in one of my favorite episodes of Community.
Yeah, he has the Eternity.
Where he just hands out vials of Pierce's sperm.
also sperm.
He never plays a good person.
No, not really.
No, he has one of those faces for sure that makes him kind of punchable. But
he's great when he jumps on the predator and starts stabbing him and stuff at the end. It is funny and great and like. I kind of want to say it because he says like some terrible things, terrible words. But he's like, Dad, you fucking shit. And he starts stabbing the thing back, and it's like, yeah, that tracks.
Well, I mean, and we're talking about he says terrible things, and like, admittedly, he has one of like the most vile moments in the movie, which they call attention to immediately. But even his delivery is just so ridiculous, where he's like, man, when I get back home, I'm just gonna do all the coke and rape all the bitches.
You're like, whoa.
And you hear it and you cringe, and then Topher Grace gets up and goes to the Russian guy, and the Russian guy's just like, you should stay away from him.
Yeah, I should stay away from him. Yeah.
Don't go near him. Yeah, I laughed so hard at that moment. That was super great. Topher Grace had some really good moments in this movie. He's actually quite good in this movie.
I thought the whole cast was kind of
fucking Mahershala. I was like, is that Mahershala?
Yeah, except he's billed. I didn't write it down, and I will butcher it. But go back. He's not billed as Mahershala Ali.
Oh, really?
He's got his full first name there. It's like Mahershala,
amazing.
And it continues past there.
Cool.
And it's nice to see him this early in his career, I guess.
Because he's like big, because he's slimmed down since then. I almost didn't recognize him. Moonlight, yeah.
Moonlight recently, yeah.
But
this was 2010.
Yeah.
Right. So, because he looks a lot beefier in this movie than
he's like a big dude, and he got this beard, and I had to go, that really looks like Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
And I had to look it up and be like, that is Mahershala. Holy
this
shit.
Cast is insane. Danny Trejo?
I forgot Danny Trejo was in it, and as soon as I saw him, I was fucking in. Anything with Danny Trejo, I'm on board.
We've got like the crazy. It's like if Lawrence Fishburne playing Morpheus from the Matrix movies, but like has like gone over the edge where he's like, I have all the answers you need, but I'm totally insane now.
He was so good.
He's great.
So good. But my only problem was that he clearly refused to lose any weight for this movie, and it makes no sense that he's been there for years and he's that fat.
So maybe he has been there for 10 days and it's just affected him this much.
I mean, maybe because in the movie he is off the deep end.
Yeah, if you get dropped on an alien planet that is just there to hunt you, like you might also snap real fast.
Fucked.
Like you don't know what's going to happen to your brain. But
but I mean, 10 days
be
seems
fat.
Like
he himself says it's not like he's like training. He's been hiding. He's been living in that ship.
No, he wouldn't be training, but I mean, he's also like an alien planet where they're bringing in creatures from far reaches of the galaxy. I doubt they're stocking up on human food for him to eat. He's scrounging. He's eating mush.
But maybe he's finding stuff that's like fatty. Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
unless he's a cannibal.
He might be.
Maybe he's also people. I want to see that spin-off.
Also hunting people.
It was a really.
He's the predator.
It was a cool turn. Yeah, the cast in this movie was surprisingly dope.
Yeah.
Like just in like it's a bunch of actors that you'll be like happy to see. Lawrence Fishburne is great in his brief thing. I love that it's brief. I forgot that it was that brief, where you meet him and it's like he's like, oh, it's a character that he's on the planet already when they get there, and he's been there for this long time, and he takes them to this safe place, and he's hoarded all this like gear from over the years, and he has one of the Predator helmets, which is like a cool thing.
I was like, okay, so this is the guy who's been here for a long time. He knows what's going on. He's going to help them get to the ship, and he's going to sacrifice himself at the end so they can get off. Okay,
he's very much
nope. None of that is true.
Your first read of him is like, oh my god, it's like it's Robin Williams' character from Jumanji, but his Jumanji is the Predator planet. Like, and then it turns out he's like totally bonkers. He's again, like we talk about, he's actually not even talking to himself. He's like looking into the corner and talking to someone else. Like he's like, they're not going to buy that. It's never
explained who he thinks that is. It's just
it's just like an imaginary friend that he's concocted.
And then you get this impression that he's going to help them understand more and help them get off the planet and make a sacrifice, whatever that kind of stuff is. And immediately he turns on them, tries to smoke them to death. And Topher Grace is like, he's a scavenger. He wants our stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's right. That makes sense. He just wants them for their gear. And like one of his justifications, he's like, I can't feed more mouths. He's like, the two of us are already enough. I can't take 6 more. And it's like it's really funny. It's good. And like you buy it, and then he dies like almost right away. Like,
and it gives us the great Bad Boy Brody moment of him shooting his gun and it explodes, and he's like, "You missed. What was that for?" He's like, "I'm calling in the cavalry."
Yeah, it wasn't meant to. It wasn't meant to hit.
It's so bad.
But also, I was sad to see him die. Like, even though Fishburne he became the villain so quickly, I was like, because I'd bought into him being there for so long, I was like, oh man, that sucks. Like, you've tried so hard to survive.
But I love that in a movie like this, where it's like kind of knows that it's going to be on the edge of a B movie, and so it takes some risks with it, where they introduce like this like kind of a star actor, right? Comes in, and you get all these impressions of like, oh my god, this guy is gonna like reveal stuff. It's like, no, he's actually also a bad guy, and now he's dead, and you're like, oh, like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like it really, like it makes me feel like I don't know where this is gonna go. And I'd forgotten a lot of stuff, like a lot of the twists. Like I forgot that he died that soon. Like since I saw this movie 10 years ago, I forgot a lot. And yeah, I had a great time watching some of those twists and turns.
Yeah. Although I found that was actually kind of the climax of the movie for me, because once the mission becomes, let's find the ship and get off the planet, it starts to kind of deflate pretty quickly.
With a few good moments. The Yakuza moment is super dope.
Well,
the fight?
The fight is bad.
The fight was bad. The moment
leading up to it is cool.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, but if that had been a standalone scene, I would have liked it. The fact that it came as like the third in a set of heroic sacrifice scenes, because first it was Goggins, then it was
the Russian dude, which was also awesome. I loved that.
Yeah. I love the Russian dude, and then it was the Yakuza. So I was like, oh, this is just the series where we watch each person drop off.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, the Yakuza man sacrifices himself in a sword fight with the Predator, where he's using a katana he found in Lawrence Fishburne's
store of scavenged stuff.
Stolen things, and the Predator is using the sword, the serrated sword that comes out of his arm.
It's like a arm-mounted thing.
And the person who is in the Predator suit, was trying his hardest to make
move
it look good.
well. But yeah, I know that's why like the whole second half of the movie is so dark, because that's when they have to show the predators more for the second part of the movie. So like suddenly it's all at night now, and nailed it, Sean. Spilt beer on his notes.
Beer on my notes.
But they clearly like wanted to show the predators more, and like the design of them is pretty cool. I think their helmets and stuff, like the chief one had like a real jawbone on the bottom, was a really cool design element that I loved.
I like that they were like a little stockier. I feel like they were a bit more compact in this movie than they have been in the other movies. You know what I mean? The other movies they seem a bit more kind of like bulky and also just like longer. And this one they felt kind of something about their stocky design made them feel that much more alien. Do you know what I mean?
Can you remind me the lead Predator's mask? Does it have a human jaw on it?
No, like it's a bone, but not a human jaw. It's an alien jaw, another.
So
animal.
like the smaller predators were the ones that had the full cover, and then there were the ones that had the.
Yeah, I mean like the lead Predator. He has this like warrior mask, and on it is a gold jaw.
It was a jawbone from like another alien species.
Okay.
So like he'd taken a trophy and like attached it. Like I thought it was a cool. It looks great.
Realize that. Yeah, for sure. I just thought I didn't know why he had a human.
No,
jaw.
not human. No. He's like.
But I mean, it also would have made sense if he had just added it as like a trophy, because they've had other humans on the planet, obviously, right?
That's true.
But I just want to point out, because we were talking about the Yakuza thing, was that it was the only time in the movie where the set design was clearly just them being like, fuck, we have to get this shot. We don't have anywhere else to shoot it. Let's just fucking shoot in this park.
In the field.
Yes. Like the entire movie is this like really cool like alien jungle backdrop, or like desolate rocky landscapes, or like spaceships or whatever. And then you just have this one shot or this one scene where it's just this open field surrounded by like park trees.
Yeah, it's also a little bit like, it's like the Japanese guy. So is it like a rice paddy we can shoot in because he's Yakuza? It's a bit like that. Like, can you get a samurai sword?
The stoic, silent Japanese.
I was like, of course he's stoic, and I was like, oh, for sure this guy speaks English.
Yeah,
and he does. He's a bit random, but I like the characters in this movie. I enjoyed each of them. I enjoyed their moments. I liked the Russian dude was funny. He always looked kind of puppy doggish. He was always like, like what's up? And his death moment where he gets
where he sacrifices himself to save Topher Grace.
Off, and he had attached a claymore to the front of his chest, and he's just like,
that's a huge explosion.
Yeah, which I was like, claymores don't do that.
No.
It's a really like direct,
like
straightforward explosion from a claymore. So anyway, but it was a cool moment up until the crazy explosion.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I don't know. I just enjoy. I actually enjoyed this movie a bunch.
Well, sure. I thought the whole premise was great too. I thought it was interesting from the jump, and I love the fact that it was like just the people from literally every faction in the world at the top, like the people at the top of their games brought in, and even though they like hit the nail on the head and really drive home the fact that it's like the humans are the predators
on our planet.
I mean, I could have done without it like being spoon fed to me, but the commentary was interesting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know
that like the predators seek out the apex predators of other planets and bring them, and you're like, that's what they do.
Well, yeah, and I mean, kind of, because we're talking about how the aliens are kind of one-dimensional, and I really appreciated that in this one they add a lot of dimension to the predators. Like there's a lot of layers to the character.
The slave relationship with the like lesser predators. I don't know whether that's established in any film before this.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. I'm not sure if it's.
No, we mentioned this before the podcast that it seems to be. I haven't seen the Predator, but that seems to be part of it. Is that there's like an alpha race of Predator where it's like he's like Lawrence Fishburne says it's like wolves compared to dogs.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they're the same, but they're bigger and they're strong. Like they're just better predators. So that seems to be the lead one in this one, and the design of his face also looks different.
So
when you see
is the Predator in the original Schwarzenegger film? Is he supposed to be one of the wolves or one of the dogs?
Dogs. He looks like the one that's tied to the post.
Oh, interesting.
But they also, because the one that's tied to the post is the only one of the dog predators in this movie, right?
Yes.
Because
there's only 4 predators. There's the three like.
I didn't catch that the other 2 were. I assume that only the main one was like that. Was like the wolf one.
Well, I think they have him tied up. I think they had him tied up as like food in case they didn't catch anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
wasn't
wasn't
clear as to
sure
why
about
he was
that.
tied up to begin with.
I kind of got more of an impression from it that like like, I think it's hinted at in other movies that they have a real like honor system in that one. The second movie, Predators, ends with I mean, spoilers, but Danny Glover like survives because he manages to kill the predator.
Right.
And just as he like does it, like a whole ship like materializes or something like that. Or like he's like he goes on to a predator spaceship and like kills the one that's been hunting him. And he's like, thank God. And all these other predators appear around him and he's like, oh shit. And then they like give him like the staff of the one he killed. And they're like, all right, like, peace out. You're good.
Well, there's some kind of thing like that in Alien versus Predator as well, I think, isn't there?
Yeah,
where,
there
like,
is.
The woman.
Maybe I'm confusing two different things, but the same moment happens.
Yeah, something similar where like she kills one of them, and then because of that, she earns the respect of the other one who like helps her get out of the pyramid or something.
Well, she kills one of the aliens. And so the predator he like sticks its tail on a staff.
And is like,
I want to watch Alien versus Predator
this.
again. And he gives it to her and he's
Find
like,
a movie to put it up with.
I know, right?
Kramer versus Kramer, man.
Kramer versus Kramer. We're teasing that one. That's what Kramer versus Kramer versus Alien versus Predator. Or Batman versus Superman. But I don't want to watch that movie again.
No.
Never again. That movie sucks.
It's too bad for this podcast.
So there is an honor system. So I got the impression from the one that was tied up that it was connected to him also being like a disgrace or like he had been dishonored. So like I didn't get the impression that the three that were active predators were all the wolf kind. I kind of got the impression that they were like that he was leading them, but there were like I think they cohabitate, but like
didn't Fishburne say that like the wolf ones hunt the dog ones?
Yeah, he said that they've been in like a civil war forever.
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
so that's some messy plot right there.
Yeah, totally.
Stupid movie. I don't know. I love this fucking film. I'm gonna go watch all the other. Like, I'm not gonna go watch the other Predator films because I think they're gonna pop up when in films we're watching for this.
I also don't know how
will,
similar this one is to the rest of them. Like, I've only seen this and then Alien versus Predator.
It's similar to Predator.
Right.
The first one.
Yeah.
The first one where it also takes place in the jungle, and the Predator actually comes to Earth, right? In the first one.
They come to Earth in both of them.
So
but the second one's in like New York City.
So when Isabel is giving her speech, because there's that reveal from Bad Boy Brody that she knows what they are.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for using Bad Boy Brody.
I will forever.
Hashtag Bad Boy
And then Bell Media, sponsorships, and then she has her speech where she talks about 87 Guatemala.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Is that just a recap of the first film?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was her connection to that? I was very unsure how she knew all that information.
She was just familiar with the case file, I think, right?
She just like it had come across. It was like a bit of like one of those case files of myth.
Right. I thought they were going to say like, yeah, my dad was there.
I'm glad they didn't do that, to be honest. I'm glad it's just like I happened to come across it. I buy that more than like the whole Star Wars universe. Like I'm the descendant of someone from that movie. Yeah, fun.
But what I thought was interesting was that they clearly just put that story in there so that they could have the Bad Boy Brody scene at the end where he's covered himself in mud. Yeah. But like the least amount of mud possible because they had to show his shredded abs.
Yeah, because he spent 6.5 months with a personal trainer every day.
He was like,
God damn it, these abs are going to be in the film.
Yo, I mean, it paid off. He looked good.
But I also don't think that was necessarily his tactic. Like, because I don't think he was totally trying to cover himself with mud. I think it was more that the fire around him was supposed to obscure. But that was the whole idea, was
that he was going to mask his heat signature
with mud and fire.
With the fire, and then when he ran away, the predator wouldn't be able to pick up his heat.
Right.
Just his heartbeat. The scene that proves that Bad Boy Brody has a heart.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aww.
Like the Grinch.
When the predator hunts him by his heartbeat.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy last fight, but like
it's pretty messy. And then we have the reveal of Topher Grace's character. Like you said, you enjoyed him. I enjoyed.
Like, but you're not supposed to fully enjoy him. You're supposed to be like,
right. Yeah, there's supposed to be something off.
I actually thought he did a really good job. Like when it got to the turn, which I'd totally forgotten, where it's revealed that he is like a full like psycho serial killer.
Yeah.
And he lied from the beginning. He's like, "Well, I'm a doctor. I don't know why I'm here." Like that.
Which immediately made so much sense because in my mind I thought, oh, a doctor is that's a really smart person to include in this group so that the doctor can heal them up and keep the hunt going.
Yeah, like
right?
they want like a strong human pack to hunt. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, that makes sense. And then you find out that he's just been saying that to manipulate everyone because he's this killer. He's a psycho, and so he works in that psychopathic way. And yeah, so like he mostly reads as like the fish out of water, who's always like, what the fuck's going on? But yeah, like something rubs you the wrong way, and then when you find out, you're like, oh, that's what it is. He's actually like now going to try and kill the female character. I forget was
no,
Isabel.
I was unclear because I both times I watched this movie, I got this impression, and now that I'm thinking about it, it might be wrong, but do they try to imply that he had some kind of deal with the predators? Because his line is, now
very unsure.
Now you can see why they chose me because I'm one of them. But now I'm thinking about it in terms of that's maybe just his rationalization of why he was taken.
I think that's like the crazy psychopathic ego thing.
Yeah,
where he's like, I'm with my people now.
I read it as he was going to like lay down and be like, I am one of you, accept me into your culture. I love killing just like you do.
Yeah.
And he somehow thought that was gonna fly.
Yeah. Like he was gonna like kill her and like take out her spine and then like hold it up in front of them and go like, ugh.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about it. Outside of Eric from that 70s show,
I kept calling him Foreman in my notes.
Nice.
I have him down as Topher Venom
Foreman?
Grace or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm hard pressed to think of another movie that he's been in and that he hasn't played like this smarmy villain. Because there was Venom.
Black Klansman. He's really good in that.
But isn't he a bad guy in that?
No. Oh, yes, he is. Yeah, he's David Duke.
Isn't he the leader of the KKK?
I thought he was with Adam Driver.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Ku Klux Klan bad. Wait. Just a reminder.
Yeah, KKK is bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then he was in another movie with what's the?
You're thinking of Ocean's 11.
Is he in Ocean's 11?
He's like playing a poker game with Brad Pitt at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's himself.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
No, he played in a film with the girl from Save the Last Dance. What was her name?
Julia Stiles.
Julia Stiles,
Yeah.
and he plays
with
like
a Z, I think.
like a crackhead rapist or something in that film. Like he just seems to be. He was like. He was the nerd in that 70s show, and then he became like the greasy fucking.
Well, there's a reason
psycho.
that in that 70s show everyone hates Foreman.
Yeah,
I thought I liked Foreman.
You're supposed to like him, but also be like, oh, dude,
He's such a piece of shit.
Yeah, but that's a far cry from like I ripped the wings off a fly.
Yeah. Murderer. Yeah.
But you get hints of it that like he like makes this kind of bond with the Russian dude. You can tell it's kind of like for protection, right? Like he can, so he exploits it. Yeah, and he's like, great. I need like I can't.
That
you're
was a
big
spot
with
on Russian accent.
That
by
was
the way.
just like
that was great.
And
so he like
school.
implores the Russian dude to come back and save him when he gets separated from the group. And then as soon as the Russian dude gets stabbed by the predator and is like dying, he's like, bye.
Yeah.
Like not without a second of hesitation. And you're like, huh.
You're like, oh, you suck,
that's
dude.
That's really shitty. And then you're like, oh, it's because you're like a killer.
Yeah. And we had the Chekhov's plant venom. Set in when he picks up the venom with his little Swiss Army knife, and then he folds it away.
It's a scalpel.
Like, oh, that's coming back. Oh, is it?
I think
it's a scalpel.
Fold-out scalpel.
Yeah, which should be like a giveaway also of like, wait, doctors don't carry fold-out scalpels.
But also like, how much of a fucking psycho are you that you're walking around with a scalpel?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But also, that was a part that was like a bit of a plot hole because I was like, wait, isn't this an alien planet?
Yeah, how do you know what this fucking venom is?
I thought that too.
I was like,
Trichinosis totolopho.
Yeah, like Latin describes it. And I was like,
that's a flower.
But I mean, so if he's trying to pass himself off as a doctor, he could easily just lie. He could just lie and make something up.
Yeah, maybe
that sounds a lot more like a lie.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, actually, that's kind of track.
But I also thought
go film.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's layers.
There's lots of good stuff in this.
I also thought for a brief second that the entire environment was just a hologram because they had the sun and they had plants that the humans recognized. So I was like, oh, is this just like a totally manufactured thing to make them feel like they're in a familiar environment? But then they have that really cool like Star Wars Horizon shot where they have the 3 or 4 moons just in clear sight.
But I was like, no, planets don't. And this is the planet they're on is huge, and those are moons. But even still,
if those are other planets, then you're fucked.
Like, I was like that.
Those planets.
It's a cool shot, but like, no, like planets don't move that close to one another. Sorry. Anyway.
Well, I mean, who knows what part of the universe they're in,
universe
man.
is vast,
The vast.
man.
Yes, I should have listened to your opening. I'm sorry. Fuck. Never mind. It's a cool shot, so I dig it.
I also want to give you kudos for that opening, man. They're getting better and better.
Thanks.
I think you found
I
a...
want you to go back more to your roots. This one was a bit aimless for me.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
A bit aimless. I learned something, I think, in this one.
I guess it was not aimless enough. Sorry, let me rephrase.
I think my favorite one might still be a poem.
A poem.
Oh man. One thing that bothered me though, like in terms of like a big thing for me, these movies is like about like literally comparing the villain of like the alien versus the predator. It's like a movie they made, but like,
get it? You guys get why I chose these movies?
So like,
shut the fuck up.
So like the acid blood, acid blood is a thing that I'm like, that's dumb. But then with the predators,
sorry, Jack.
That's okay.
Daniel's just throwing back to last week over here.
Yeah.
I put it behind me.
Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
So anyway, Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Best movie ever.
Greatest movie. I watched it again. So yeah, but the predator is the thing that grinds my gears with them is like, okay, but what actually hurts them? Because they don't wear armor. They have their helmet that allows them to have all these different like ways to view the world with like thermo. Like they can see heat signatures, they can register heartbeats if they want to. They can keep switching different ways of seeing stuff, and it also seems to also control their camouflage.
Yeah.
But like the effect of bullets in this movie is a thing that bothers me, because like in the beginning when they're also like when the dogs first attack them, some people can like snipe them with one bullet, and other dogs can survive like
rounds and rounds and rounds and like
and like Adrien Brody has like a flak cannon.
Yeah,
like that thing is not like pow pow, it's like boom boom, like if that hits something it like explodes.
But he was taking the dogs out with that thing.
Yeah, but some of them
after minutes of unloading into them.
Right, yeah, it was just it's super inconsistent, which is the thing. And same thing with the predators, where it's like one of them like appears or whatever, and then dude the minigun starts spraying.
Yeah,
and it's like it's really hard to dodge a minigun. And they were like, so it would seem like it was hitting them, but not. But they seem like they had like a force field, but they clearly don't. They're just camouflaged.
I think they have armor too.
No, right? they would once they revealed themselves, they were like almost always they had like a shoulder thing with their cannon on it, and but otherwise they were like,
oh yeah, I guess you're right,
mostly bare. It was one of those things that I'm like, oh, I just wish it was a bit more consistent. The premise is supposed to be that like they're camouflaged, so you don't know they're actually even shooting at them.
Yeah,
and they can evade better than you think they can.
And the whole explanation for the camouflage was that they have a system that just reflects ambient light. Was that what you said?
Something like that, yeah.
I think so.
It like bends light around them, like how we would imagine camouflage to work now.
Because of a technical issue, while I was watching the film,
I saw them.
I accidentally, I had to, it like stopped at a certain point, and then when I restarted it, it went back about 30 seconds, and I rewatched a little bit of what I'd seen, and it was just the part of Danny Trejo hunched over going, "Help me," and that was so scary to have to rewatch again. I beat a little.
It's great.
Just a little. And then, so what was that? What was that technology? Because I didn't fully understand. They were recording things that they'd said before and then pitching it to like fit different scenarios that they would then hear? I
guess because when the first time they do it, you see the predator listening in from the tree.
Yeah.
And then it plays back the recording a few different times, and it's kind of playing with the pitch and cadence of it, right? So I think that's what it was.
Okay.
If you watch Predator 1 and 2, you'll get more about that kind of stuff.
So that isn't a new thing they introduced in this one. Okay.
No, it's actually not fully. Like in the very first movie, like Arnold Schwarzenegger calls it like he's like, "You're one ugly motherfucker" or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like the alien is like, "Motherfucker," like says it back and like it's like repeated or something like that. And the voice recording stuff comes back, I think, in Predator 2, where like he records, and like we see it a bit in this movie of like the helmet and stuff, like recording and like playing back stuff. Like they're listening to their voices and like discerning what they're saying and stuff. So
gotcha.
It's like, I think it was like playing like from his helmet or something like that. if anything, or maybe he had a device on him.
Right. But, is Predator, the first film, is that the Get to the Chopper film?
I believe that might be Commando.
Oh, okay.
I think that's Twins.
Kindergarten Cop?
Jingle All the Way, I think is what you're...
That's got to be a movie we watch.
I'm gonna make it even more obscure. I think it's The Sixth Day.
Ooh.
So you're thinking of, yeah, you haven't thought of that movie in a long time.
No,
I've never thought of that
movie. He's like, I'm a clone. Okay.
Isn't that Total Recall?
What?
No.
Isn't he a clone in Total Recall?
No.
We'll find out when we throw it in.
Have our Schwarzenegger day?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh man, old versus new Schwarzenegger.
Ooh, that would just be Terminator versus Terminator, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Terminator versus Terminator.
I've been
3.
wanting to get us to watch Terminator 2 for a long time because I know you've never seen it. Still.
I've never seen it either.
Yeah.
Do I need to have seen T1?
No, I've still never really seen Terminator 1. Doesn't matter. Terminator 2 is so good.
Do I get to see naked Schwarzenegger in T2? Is that okay? Great.
Yeah, and actually I looked up the woman who played which one from which movie? In Aliens, Vasquez.
Yeah.
From Vasquez.
Yeah, and
she plays
Paxton's in it too, right?
Paxton's in it, and where is he in? He might be in Terminator, the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
But in Terminator 2, the woman who plays Vasquez, who is not she's part, but she's Jewish and she's a big mix of stuff. But she plays a character in that as well. She's like a mom.
Cool.
But anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
James Cameron likes to reuse his actors.
Yeah. So anyway,
which reminds me, Sigourney Weaver's in Avatar. Sorry, I didn't cut you off, but I thought about that earlier.
Yeah, and Sam Worthington is the Predator. I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, the voice recording stuff is hinted at in other movies and stuff. Okay. It's a super great moment though when the reveal of it of essentially the dogs have attacked them and then he's they realize that one of them is missing and they hear help me. Help me. And it's clearly Danny Trejo's voice.
And they slowly come through the brush. There were some really cool shots in this film and just how to shoot jungle. Whoever was the DP on this film understood it very effectively. So
essentially they realize that Danny Trejo is sitting in this field and all these traps have been laid. The area is essentially a big proximity trap. And then Isabel is I'm not going to leave him behind. And they're well, we don't have a choice. And so she decides to mercy.
The actual line is Bad Boy Brody being then that's on you.
Oh, God.
Oh, God bless that man. Oh, there was my favorite Bad Boy Brody. And this is a visual one, so watch this on YouTube if you can. It's so think of John Wayne in movie. He's got a swagger, right? And I think that's what Adrien Brody was trying to channel. Brody, John Wayne, he's partner, you come at me, this kind of thing. And so Brody goes to sit down with his dinner that he's scrounged up. And he goes to sit next to Isabel, and I think he was trying to do a little like John Wayne, I'm gonna sit down here kind of thing. But instead, he does this tiny little tiny little booty
little
shake,
sachet
as he goes down. And I was like, "What are you doing? That's the stupidest choice you could have made."
He was great.
He was a blessing.
I love
movie.
him. I don't know Adrien Brody well enough, I realized watching this film. I want to dive into every film he's ever made.
Have you seen The Pianist?
No.
Oh, dude. Yeah, you're missing out. You got to see The Pianist.
I think this is the only Adrien Brody movie I've ever seen.
Huh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, the Peter Jackson King Kong movie is ridiculous. Also, horrifying, but he's in that.
Oh, I've seen that. Who is he in that?
Yeah, he's the main character.
I do not remember him in that movie.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Does he play the same guy?
He's leading up to it. It's his first turn at being but he's I think he's supposed to be a reporter.
Oh. Yeah.
But he is in an action movie, and then this movie he got to be the star of it.
He got to be if Batman were a military mercenary.
Man, that King Kong movie is scary as shit.
I read a quote of him and how he prepared for this film. He said that he went through the same preparations he would do for a film like The Pianist because he wanted to make it super super real and super his action film, Boy, did he make it his action film.
Really? Because
Yeah.
it seems like he found out he was playing this part like 2 weeks before shooting. And
What are you talking about? I lowered my voice by an octave.
Yeah. He's like, all right,
You heard the line like, I'm better alone, and he was like, okay. No. There, I'm good. Anyway, but
that's funny.
It's anyway. I don't know. I could keep talking about this movie. I really
Liked
enjoyed it.
Had a good time.
I didn't enjoy when it became nighttime and I couldn't see much of what was going on anymore.
Right.
But I enjoyed the kind of end of these characters and the some of the fights and like the explosion of the predators, even though like it was a derpy looking samurai fight.
I hate that scene so much.
Easily the worst part of the film.
Easily, like the tattoo reveal where he slips his blazer off, and it's just like the zoom in on his back covered in tattoos felt so forced. And
he
like
had tattoos. I don't remember
Yakuza
them.
guy.
Yeah,
he was covered in tattoos.
Okay, good. He's supposed to if he's Yakuza.
Yeah, the whole point of that shot was to show him like in his full Yakuza kind of form. But everything about it just felt so contrived, to use your word, and it would have
been better if they just didn't show it on camera. It's one of those things where like if that had again like the way that the film was edited, so that we had literally 3 scenes back to back of people sacrificing themselves to save somebody else. If it hadn't been in that chain and its own kind of standalone thing, it would have been a lot more effective and filmed in a different setting. Yeah, that was super distracting, I thought. Yeah.
I did think they were going to fall into a dangerous pattern when the dogs have been fought off, and Brody's like, yeah, they were separating us and testing our weaknesses. One by one. I know. How do you know? Oh, I know because I would have done the same.
But they were going to keep.
And then the next scene, Mahershala is like, oh yeah, they wanted us to go and help the person they left there, and then they were going to kill us all. I know because I've done the same. It was, don't make this that movie, guys.
I
don't do that.
I thought the exact same thing, and I also thought this is supposed to be a super advanced race of alien hunters. You would think that by now their tactics would be more intricate and complex than what the humans are doing.
Yeah.
What they've learned from human tactics.
It's the commentary, I guess, they were looking at there, but
it's an allegory for Vietnam.
Not this one.
No. I mean, maybe a little actually.
Allegory.
The first one probably.
Actually, the first one probably definitely. Yeah. It's very much like what are we shooting? Like shooting blindly into the jungle is a big part of the first Predator movie.
Any movie in the 80s set in the jungle.
Yep.
Vietnam movie.
Yeah. No. So Predator definitely is that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you just bring up though? I was going to say something about it.
We were talking about the Yakuza tattoos.
No, just what you just said though. But like there's an implication with the Predators. I guess I know this franchise the most, that it's not just like they have the advanced thing. Like if they wanted to, they could just like laser scope them with their like shoulder cannons much easily.
Yeah.
There's like an enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
And again, I mentioned like there's like really is an honor system that like they want to see, like they want to give them a chance to like, okay, let's see what you got. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's implied that they prefer to do it up close. Like they want to kill them by using like a melee weapon.
Ripping their spines out.
Which was like so great.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
So great.
It's a classic Predator move. It's pretty rocking.
I cannot emphasize how happy watching this movie made me. I have not felt joy watching a film like this in a long time.
Did you feel any kind of rage when watching Aliens though?
I fully accept that I have my James Cameron bias. I attempted to sit down and watch it as just a science fiction film, and I will admit early James Cameron, I want to go watch Terminator. I want to go watch Terminator 2 because the man knows how to shoot science fiction.
Yeah.
The guy understands it.
You can watch Terminator 1 if you want, but then if no one else does, I'll make sure we do T2 as one of these.
But Cameron didn't do T1. Did he?
I think he did both.
Yeah, that was his first. I think that was his first film.
Oh, I thought they brought him on for T2. That was it. Oh,
no, just Aliens is a sequel thing. It's just like I can't stand Titanic.
I don't know why I love that movie so much.
It's his embracing of stereotypes as plot device are highly problematic, and he hasn't tried to move past that, because to him, story is not something that an audience is there to watch the film for. Story is something that is there to allow his like special effects to dazzle you.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's fair.
Yeah. But
Titanic still rules, though.
Aliens is a really good film. Alien is way better, in my humble opinion. But
I imagine it seems to be more like the actual realization of the franchise.
Yeah.
Like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And it gave Sigourney Weaver a chance to take her character from like someone who is mostly running away and screaming and like shooting blindly in hallways to someone who like has initiative and is her own motherfucking boss. And I haven't seen Alien 3, but Alien Resurrection, she is like borderline deity by the end of that film.
Because every episode, every movie, she just kind of gets more and more
powerful,
right? Yeah.
It's very fun.
Well, doesn't
watch.
she like become a synthetic eventually, or she's like a clone of herself?
She becomes a clone that then has sex with the aliens that are cloned from her, and
it gets more and more out
that
there.
Sounds bizarre. Convoluted. Also, remind me again what happens with the synthetic in the first movie.
It's played by Ian Holm of Bilbo fame, and
right.
I think he's ripped apart. I can't remember exactly, but because it's a reveal that he's a synthetic. You're like, oh, he's not human, and I think he's kind of ripped in half too, and he has his final like moments with Sigourney, and then.
But why was Ripley so freaked out in Aliens about Bishop being a synthetic?
Ian Holm was. Am I thinking Michael Fassbender now? No, because
Michael Fassbender is also a villain.
He wanted to take like samples back, and I'm pretty sure, and that's what doomed them. I think. Shit. Now I have to rewatch Alien.
Yeah, I feel like he was trying to like take them out. I feel like he was a villain in the.
Oh yeah.
And then he redeems himself by saving somebody after he's been ripped apart.
Well, it looks like Alien's going to be one of our classic films.
Great. I was also confused by the need to give these synthetic people synthetic organs instead of just like robotics or whatever else you'd fill the inside of them with. Why they had to try to have like anatomically correct synthetic organs.
Honestly, I think that is the way humanity's going, because we can't bear to think there can be a sentient being that isn't us. So I think we're going to design our like robots to be anatomically correct to what we are.
We're already doing it, baby.
We feel comfortable with them.
Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah.
We want to be able to have sex with them mainly.
Yeah.
Which is a thing that's for sure happening already.
Oh yeah, already very much. That's like the leading field of like robotics.
Is sex robots?
Yeah.
I worked a really batshit crazy convention at the Royal Conservatory once, and it's the shit. I won't name it. I can't remember the full name, but like, it's just a bunch of conspiracy theorists and crazy people.
Oh, I remember you telling me about this.
Who all go to this one thing every year, and it's led by this one really weird guy who has weird ideas about the way the world should work, and they all buy into. They buy like $2,800 weekend packages to come to his convention. It's fucked. But there were these robotics guys. They set up their display, and it was just the top half of a really busty blonde woman as a robot.
Oh my God.
And you just know where that other half is.
No. John.
Boo.
This podcast is for families.
Is it?
No.
Okay.
I hope your kids aren't listening to this.
It's only for children.
It's a kids. Welcome to our kids podcast. I thought the casting of the synthetic in Aliens was brilliant. That dude was great.
Yeah.
He was really wonderful.
Yeah.
He's in Aliens 3. The Aliens 3 picks up right after Aliens ends, and he and Sigourney reprise their roles, and I'm pretty sure that they explain that handsome Marine Man Newt. Did anyone else escape the planet? Okay, handsome Marine Man and Newt just die in cryo sleep. They're just like, they're not part of the movie anymore. Bye.
Oh God.
Oh dang, that's too bad.
I may be wrong. I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure I read that.
It's because Newt was older, and they're like, "Oh, she cannot act. We can't do this."
He's like, "I'm ready for another Aliens movie."
And they're like, "Where are you from?"
I think I want to be in the movie.
It's just full on Cockney too. Like, oh yeah, Ripley. Ripley. Oi, Ripley.
Oh, Ripley.
Is that an alien?
No, but yeah, the casting of Bishop was great.
Yeah.
Because he walked that line of like, he had a weird human but could be a robot face.
He's just not human.
Just not human. And
great.
he was always kind of, for me, on the cusp of like, I'm not sure if this guy is good or bad.
And he had some like, I don't know if it's his real face, but he had like lines.
The scars?
So he looked
yeah,
like a
I wasn't sure
dummy.
what kind of makeup they had given him, but it
was effective.
Yeah,
he
looked dope.
But like his eye movements and stuff, even like little stuff that he clearly worked on.
Mm-hmm.
Is there
like
anything
an
else?
Actor.
Yeah, like an actor. Like shit.
I think I've explained the shit out of my feelings on these films.
Yeah. I would say that I kind of wish Mahershala had a bit more time.
Yeah, it was young Mahershala.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still wasn't a big enough name to get more screen time yet.
It's a cool moment that he was like the one who kind of like spotted a predator. He was able to see
and was scared shitless.
Yeah, he was like, I'm seeing something, I think, and fuck me.
Yeah.
Which I guess is maybe why he got killed off, because the predators were like, oh, this dude can see us, so let's take him out.
Killed with like three spears.
It's like they all.
But was that a trap that he landed on, or were they just like stabbing him through the ground?
Or if it was the three of them. I think the three of them might have been there.
Oh, they were just camouflaged?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I wish that. Also, I want to point out this Predators was directed by someone with the first name Nimrod.
Yeah.
I feel like needs to be pointed out, which I didn't know was a real name for humans.
I think it's like Dutch.
Hi, I'm Nimrod. And also the end credit music. What was that?
But only briefly, only for like 20 seconds. Yeah.
To be loved by anyone.
Well, that's the classic. Let's just immediately juxtapose.
Having me some fun tonight was the refrain of the chorus, and it was just after he and Isabel were walking off, like crippled and about to face a new onslaught of predator death. And so I was
there were more specimens.
More specimens, but doesn't that also mean that the predators are on the planet too?
Well, I think it just means the predators. I mean, the hunt hasn't stopped, right? So they're embarking on the next part of their journey, which is to try and get off the island, off the planet.
Yeah, the island.
Which I thought was great. I loved that this movie didn't end in a happy resolution. I love that it ended with them kind of being fucked.
Ship gets blown up, and you're like,
oh, I guess you're probably gonna die there.
And you realize that friendship was the one thing he couldn't leave behind.
Okay, on that note, let's get out of here.
Because Bad Boy Brody had a heart.
And he wanted to have some fun tonight.
Oh.
I actually think you're right, though, that was kind of part of it, that it's like showing the heartbeat sensor.
Yeah.
Was, like, I didn't really catch
that. Because he's been a cold,
but
steely killer the entire movie.
like, he's got a heart still.
He's got a heart.
He's still people.
He loves.
Or he's scared.
Yeah.
Or he's just like has a high heartbeat because he's like doing sprints and hitting someone with a bat.
Yeah, he's working. He's working hard.
Fighting an alien species he didn't know exists 6 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough times.
I guess my final question is, Sean, how do you feel about like later James Cameron films?
Oh my gosh.
Well, between him and the Chinese government.
So essentially how we rate these movies.
All right, I guess we have to do that too, don't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
But we talked the shit out of these. I think we'll be able to rate them pretty quickly if I'm being
Remember
honest.
when we talked about making this podcast less than 2 hours today?
Whoops. Yeah, whoopsies. But
it's on in the background. You fuckers can listen to this. Jesus Christ.
We're going to be past 2 hours easy today. This is going to be our longest one yet. But they're fun to talk about.
Yeah, I'm actually quite proud of these picks. I thought that I enjoyed both.
My only debate is whether or not Predators ended up being a schlocky movie at the end. It was
right,
but it is kind of it's kind of a B movie style.
It does it
though.
well.
Yeah,
but it's just good.
Yeah,
it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, I guess it's
I'm gonna top up.
I guess the question is it still schlocky if it is a self-aware, well done schlocky movie? Right, which is kind of like what the Meg was. I think the Meg wasn't as good quality as Predators was, but
yeah.
The Meg was kind of the same thing, where they were just leaning into the cheese a little bit.
Where like the story is B movie, but the production is like
the production value. But that was the thing too that I liked about one of the reasons why I chose Predators was because the production value of this movie wasn't super high. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of explosions and stuff.
But it's just them in a jungle.
It's just them in a jungle, and
that's it.
that's kind of it. I mean, the prosthetics and stuff are great, but you can tell the whole thing is like it's shot either in a jungle or on a soundstage, and it doesn't look super high budget.
No,
which I liked.
Yeah, like the inside of the ship might as well been like some other set that was left over from like a previous movie, for all we know, probably, you know, with some new lights stuck on it or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure we could find it in another sci-fi thing somewhere. Let's rate these movies and find out how it works. We got 5 categories. It looks good, sounds good, acting good, story good, and rewatchability.
I'm still not sure if these things have question marks on the end of them,
like,
or if they're
good?
just acting good.
Acting
That's the
good?
one that sounds to me like
I like the question marks on the end.
Yeah.
Okay, like so looks good, sounds good, story good, acting good, rewatchability.
Yeah.
So rewatchability.
Are you confused or like just hitting puberty?
A little bit of both.
Oh, that is when you get the most confused.
Yeah. I'm going through my second puberty as we speak. But rewatchability is kind of like an enjoyability factor. It's kind of like if we had to, which movie would we watch again, kind of thing. And essentially, we're going to debate, we're going to decide, and whichever movie wins at least three of the 5 categories, we declare our Citizen Kane of the week. So, looks. What are we feeling?
Looks is tough for me because I thought that like we talked about, the set design of Aliens was bonkers.
It's unbelievable.
Was bonkers. The aliens were incredible. I thought they were fucking badass.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the look of the film, which for me is very heavily influenced by the cinematography, was kind of bland. I felt like it was a missed opportunity to make a lot more out of the film than what they did.
Right.
And Predators had some incredible cinematography, but the set design was nowhere near as elaborate. So
yeah.
So I don't know. So I don't know. I'm torn.
My thing. So I'll say what I think, and then I have an answer what I think. So my thing is I loved, like, the visuals. I think in Aliens are great. The practical effects to me, like, that's something I really prize in a movie, is those practical effects. And so much work was put into it, and I think for a really big payoff. Even if they couldn't do really good cinematography with it necessarily, like, I still felt grounded in the movie because it was all practical. It was all real. Like, it's not like you could be like, oh, that's CGI. My brain doesn't really, but there's no uncanny valley to take me out of it. So regardless of how much they could do with the filming of it, I loved it. And for me, the negative thing of Predators, even though I enjoyed how it looked, the jungle stuff is great, it's just that last like third of the movie when it's nighttime, it's suddenly like it's hard to see stuff very well. Like, it just like goes into that nighttime filming stuff that for me, this point goes to Aliens. Like, Aliens is just like...
Were you not bothered though, excuse me, by the fact that because everything was practical, some of it kind of looked like toys? Like, I found that there was some stuff that I was floored by, and some stuff where I was like, oh, this looks like I'm looking at cardboard, or I can tell this is a model.
Like when the ship is flying in to pick them up, and it's like, oh, look, it's a thing on a fishing wire almost.
Yeah, stuff like
Sure,
that.
but
No, but I'll take that over like stuff I can't see.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
And honestly, CG don't impress me much no more.
But a lot of Predators was practical too, which is great.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of
like people had to get in.
A lot of
Like,
CGI
they had some
in
dudes
Predators.
in those Predator outfits.
Yeah, but when it's a direct comparison between, like, do we make this shot CG or do we build something and like fly it in on strings? If you fly it in on strings within a realm of believability, which Aliens absolutely was, I'm going to give you the point because it's ingenious. Yeah. So I give mine to Aliens as well.
It's
the
just
model work
it's the
was
kind of
beautiful.
filmmaking I want to see. Like, it's just...
All right. Well, just to spite you both, I'm going Predators.
Okay.
Y'all can suck
Sure,
it.
you can't see a good part of the last part of the movie, but all right.
Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones. I mean, dude.
Yeah, that was a horrible,
which was terrible.
horrible
Okay,
yeah, but on the whole, the series was incredible. You can't.
This is
make
a
it
very
lose
rough
point.
comparison. But...
Hear me out. The Meg.
Olympus has fallen.
The Chinese government is clearly...
I think we beat that one to death.
Oh, God. We. I mean, I helped. So
yeah. All right. So 1 point to Aliens.
Yeah. I think it needs to be for me at least. Like I feel that.
How about sounds? I think this might be a bit more divisive, maybe.
This is tricky. Because Alien is like you said, like there's no score. There's no.
I mean, a lack of sound is still sound. It's still part of it's still part of the soundtrack. It's still part of the sound.
We're going there now, huh?
But it's true. I mean, a lack of music. It wasn't a silent film.
No, there was a score. It was nominated for an Academy Award.
I thought when the music came in, was it really?
Yes, it was.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I thought when the music hit, it was nothing special. I thought that the most effective parts of the movie, which it did really well, were the times where they chose to have no music and just built suspense through silence and ambient sound effects. And which they started doing, and it wasn't always effective. I mean, the one scene that really did it for me was when Newt and Ripley are trapped in that room with the parasite. You know what I mean? And like that scene in itself was great. And there was a couple of scenes like that where I was really sucked into the film because of the lack of music. That being said, when they had music, it was fine. And you were saying you had problems with levels. I didn't really, but just the general kind of, I mean, it had like 80s dialogue audio. So it wasn't well mixed. It was just kind of there, right? So I don't know, but Predators,
like neither of these movies have like an exceptional sound.
No, the score wasn't great. So I'm trying to for either film. So I'm trying to think of.
I will applaud Predators for trying things with their score. I think like the composer was doing things that this film had no right doing with its soundtrack.
Yeah,
I applaud whoever it was for that.
And like,
yeah, I mean, I think my gut is telling me that it's Predators, and I think it's because the sound was more seamless in the movie. You know what I mean? It never distracted me. It did what it had to do, and that carried throughout. I found there was more moments in Aliens where I was noticing the sound and not positively. So for that reason alone, because it's a toss up really, but I think for that reason alone, I have to go with Predators.
For me, because I had levels issues, just from my viewing of it, that was a definite negative point for Aliens. Like the kid screaming was a negative point. Like this is what it came down to. Just
kid screaming is always going to take away from the sound of your.
Man, I can't.
War of the Worlds is unwatchable because Dakota Fanning won't close her mouth.
Yeah.
Wow,
Whoa, Sean.
Whoa.
She screams for the entirety of the film.
Whoa, this is not a misogyny podcast.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, I'm in the wrong. Fuck, sorry.
But whereas like Predators, I really enjoyed things like, I think the sound design choices, at least, not like music, but sound design, like the Predator, the clicking sound of it, I think is really cool. Like the sound, how it shifts when we're inside their helmet from their perspective, and like hearing the playback, the Danny Trejo moment, like there's all cool sound moments that fed into the story that were just like cool experiences for me. Otherwise they were similar. They had a lot of sparseness, a lot of no music, so I don't know. It's more of a gut instinct that for me, this one is Predators.
All right.
Ooh, I also remember why I hated Aliens sound. The like tracking device they had, like the heat sensor they had. But it wasn't that. It was like
sorry everyone listening.
To the whole fucking first half of the movie, and I was like, is that a glitch? Is there like a drip that's inconsistent? Oh, it annoyed me to no end, and I had no idea what it was until they had a shot where they linked the sound to the thing. Yeah. But before that, they didn't explain what it was, so I had no idea what the sound was.
I wonder what fucking version you were watching, because that was explained the first time they pulled them out. They're like, get your range meters out and let's get a reading on what movement we've got around here.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I missed it, but I thought that was I just found it really irritating.
What would your vote be for, Sean?
Yeah, I'm going Aliens. To be honest, I think that the lack of sound. I completely agree with the argument you were making there. I think lack of sound and knowing when not to have sound is a really important thing when it comes to good filmmaking. The ship sounds, The only really thing that was irritating me was just constant machine gun explosion things.
Yeah.
But both films had that issue.
Yeah.
And I agree, Predators didn't really have anything bad going for it, but I just think the sounds that they were creating for this film were more interesting to hear than what they were giving us in Predators.
Well, okay. Sidebar, because I didn't bring this up during like the discussion part of the podcast.
Good, we got time. So
did anybody else? Two things.
Six things.
So I have a list of things I want to talk about. Was anybody reminded of the Batmobile from the Dark Knight series?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. The other thing was why, if they all have helmet cams, was one of them assigned to just holding a camera when investigating the colony?
Because he was actually filming the movie. That's how tight it was in that space.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
They made a point of establishing they all have helmet cams.
Was there someone who was just filming?
Just holding a camera.
I missed that.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure. It changed. The camera
Did
got
you watch
handed
like
off.
some Turkish knockoff of Aliens?
Aliyun. No, but they handed the camera changed hands.
Yeah.
But definitely there was like one roll, like one soldier was needed to just shoot.
I don't remember that.
I didn't catch that.
I think you're on drugs.
Also, once they established all right, so it's 1-1.
It's 1-1.
So do we want to do acting or story next? Sometimes I switch these. I forget which one is.
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me. I think my vote is the same for both.
Let's do acting. I think this will maybe split us again.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, yeah. What do you think?
Because, well, I mean, again, a lot of these were like unsure for me. Because as much as Sigourney Weaver is really good, like her character is really good, she has some pretty like odd moments too. Not that it's bad, but like
I'm giving it to Aliens.
Well, no surprise there.
I hate James Cameron.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised.
I'm giving it to Aliens, and I'm giving it for one moment of Sigourney Weaver's whole journey. I'm giving it to her because of Sigourney Weaver. In Predators, they were all fine. The only standout I think was Lawrence Fishburne, in my opinion, who was actually like throwing it to the wall and seeing what he could do. He's only in it for 15 minutes of the film. Sigourney is giving that same energy, but for the whole film because it's her film. And there's one moment where she thinks Newt. She's going to find Newt in the alien nest, and she gets there and she can't find her. She thinks she's dead, and she collapses and she is just distraught. And Newt screams, and in a split instant on Sigourney's face, you see an understanding that she's alive and she has work to do. And it was a seamless just morphing between these two states, and it was beautiful. So
well, that's a pretty good argument.
Yeah,
it's a bit like, I don't know.
What?
This is where we find out that Jack hates women.
It's just a bit like female focused.
Yeah.
It's no, you're just really leaning into your like deep love of the moment experiencing, but that's okay. Like I get it. Like it was you were really,
that's why I loved it.
Yeah, you're really taken with that moment. Yeah, she does really like her performance really is a powerhouse performance in this movie. It's hard to compare to anything that you see in Predators. It's true.
I was gonna try and make a joke,
except for Adrien Bad Boy Brody.
Bad Boy Brody.
Bad Boy Brody.
Yeah.
Because on the other hand, there was a moment when he realizes that he's on a game reserve, and he's like,
"It's a game reserve.
That's what I would do if I were a predator alien race."
I'll give Adrian credit. He is also giving that like balls to the walls energy to this film.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know how to rein it in.
Well, it's such
it's
a
the collective
cliche
cast, right? It's like Sigourney Weaver versus like the collective of predators.
But what I will say is that, I mean, my instinct was to go where you're going and say that, I mean, there's just more good actors in Predators, so it should go there. But when you think about the characters and what they're given to do and their actual development, you have that in Aliens, and you don't really in Predators. Yeah, you have Sigourney Weaver, you have the guy from Mad About You playing Burke.
Paul Reiser, I think.
Paul Reiser.
Yeah, Burke is great. I was gonna say
Burke is great,
and the synthetic. I keep forgetting his name.
Synthetic is great.
Bishop.
Bishop is great.
Bill Paxton is there.
He's screaming.
Yeah, it almost lost a point for me because of him. But I mean,
hey,
can you put your mask on, please? But there's layers to the characters in this movie.
For sure.
You see, there's an arc, there's a development for Ripley, there's an arc for Burke. You have a really great acting moment for Lawrence Fishburne, who's essentially just there to give a bit of exposition, and then fuck off. But he's the only person who has any kind of depth. The rest of them are just kind of archetypal, one-dimensional characters, and that's the point. That's kind of the tone of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Which is all of the Space Marines in Aliens. They
Totally.
are all just archetypal, one tone.
Totally, but they're meant as like
archetypes.
Yeah,
they're archetypes based on like nationality.
Yeah.
Like this is the Russian, this is the Japanese guy. Yeah. So,
but at least but I mean, you don't learn much more about them than this is the Russian and the Japanese guy.
I'm from Sierra Leone.
Yeah, because most of the movie is them kind of just walking through different stretches of forest. You don't actually get their backstories. You don't get, you know what I mean? So
it sounds like the point is going to.
I think so,
Aliens,
and it's a shame because I think that
to.
if the characters or if the actors were given more to work with, if they had been given more kind of depth and more material, it would have been a different story. But I think that it has to go to
like Predators would have been cool as like a 4-hour movie.
Yeah,
or as a
miniseries.
As a miniseries. It'd have been a very cool, like Walking Dead-esque miniseries where like it's about this group, and when one of them dies, it's like, no, like not Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was shocking.
You know what I mean? So it's a great reveal and stuff as well. We need to finish that, but we have to watch the movie to find out. But so I think it goes to Aliens though. Like just there's more outstanding performances in that movie for sure.
2-1.
So we're 2-1 Aliens. All right, now let's go story.
Story
good.
Story good.
In my mind, the clear winner for this is Predators. I think it's obviously Predators. I think the premise is more interesting. I think that the setup and the execution for the first 2/3 of the movie is better. I think there are less plot holes than there were less moments in this film where I was like, wait a second, what? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Or contrived stuff, like Aliens has a couple contrived moments
where they just plant things in there because they need it.
Where they're like, no guns, please. Whereas like Predators, except for some moments of like, wait, what do bullets do? Like it's usually pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm. But just, I mean, on premise alone, there's just more depth there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fact that there's more development of the Predators, and there's a whole world and a whole like other race that they build in this film, which you don't get in Aliens. Aliens is humans fight bad aliens, pow on colony.
Sean's gonna give his point too.
Sean is gonna go with Aliens because Sigourney Weaver had this one really powerful moment.
Well, but like the thing of her daughter, right? Like really,
right? With this,
you guys. You guys.
I'm just kidding.
Past the 2-hour mark,
I'm just
so
giving you a hard time, Sean.
To shit on Sean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
My point's going to Predators, but I might just switch it over to Aliens to fuck you.
Well, my point was going to go to Predators too, but I'm curious as to why
I kind of explained this earlier, where James Cameron has a habit of allowing his story to ride second fiddle to the like cool boom booms he wants to show off, and I think this is kind of the beginning of that trend. I haven't seen Terminator, so I don't know how much of that story is just an excuse to have cool boom booms.
It's quite balanced.
Okay.
Is why I think is so good. Is that like anyway? We're not going to talk about it. It's balanced.
Yeah, but this certainly is the beginning of the trend that makes me not like him now, and it's kind of convoluted. Why like getting her there and landing there and the things that befall them while they're on the planet. There's just a lot of hurdles to go through. Predator is you're on an alien planet. The aliens are going to hunt you down unless you do something. Go.
It's kind of the mistake where Predators does what Aliens wants to do, which is just jump into the action.
Yeah.
But Aliens tries to set it up with all this like legitimate story stuff. So we get this corporate bullshit. We have to get her waking up, hearing what we have to get all this extra stuff that's like becomes.
It adds a half hour onto a film that's already 2 hours long.
Yeah, and makes it feel more contrived. Like, wait, why? She's like, why is the military going? Oh, because of this reason. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Predators is like, yeah, fuck that noise. They're falling from the sky, and they figure it out, and off they go.
Yep.
And you're like, great. Glad to be on the same page as the movie.
And there's some twists and turns.
Yeah. And we can just jump into these characters, meeting each other, and interacting.
Yep.
Screw that. So, yeah.
Predators. So we're tied 2-2 going into the final round.
2-2. Oh,
so, for watchability, if you had
Bell
to.
Media sponsorship.
Squarespace, if you're listening.
Ooh, that's a good one, actually.
Well, yeah, because they sponsor all the internet, apparently.
Yeah, we should just promote Squarespace.
There's some other new ones.
Sean, are we still friends?
Asana? We'll sponsor you. Asana? We'll sponsor...
Well, fuck you.
Well, who wants to go first?
This is the hardest one we've had yet for rewatchability. The if I have to.
Oh, mine goes to Predators.
Okay.
That's it. Sorry. I Aliens wasn't a bad watch, but there were less moments where I was having fun. So it goes to Predators.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Predators was shorter. It was more to the point. It wasn't convoluted. There was less moments where I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was just, I mean, the last third kind of sucked, but it was cooler. It was a cooler story, and it was more fun to watch.
This week made me want to fall into the Daniel Benoit mode of thinking, where I put on a movie to be noisy in the background while I do other things.
Yeah.
So
how
not
movies
really,
are meant to be enjoyed.
Not really something to rewatch, but more to like re-have there.
To share the space with again.
To rehab there.
Yeah. But it's really tough because, just getting over my James Cameron as a douchebagness watching Aliens, there's a lot of really cool stuff in that I want to rewatch again.
Should we come back to you,
Come
Sean?
back to me.
I mean, I don't know if we'll need to, but
yeah, you're not going to need to. I'm going to make this really simple and short, which is that it's definitely Predators. I almost like this movie only made me want to go back and watch Predator, fucking Predator 2. I want to watch AVP. Like, I want to watch the Predator stuff again. I like don't want to watch Aliens again.
See, that's so funny because I had the opposite response. I watched Predators and I was like, I don't want to watch any of the other Predator movies because I know that this one has its own
perfection.
Well, this one has its own like unique vibe to it, and I don't want my impression of this franchise to be tainted.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I was like, okay, this is my introduction to Predators now. This was so fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think I will like Predator because nothing beats a good 80s Arnie flick.
Yeah.
Do not watch The Predator because that movie, Hollywood has ruined it. It sucks.
Right.
But Aliens, I watched, and I've seen Alien 1, but I watched it and I was like, oh, I think there's more. There's more fun to be had with this like series.
Yeah, there's definitely more things that it sounds like get flushed out, whereas the Predator movies are kind of always there's a Predator and go. So there are definitely a more simple viewing experience where it sounds like the newer Alien experience has got up its own ass and is like,
oh, it's so overly complicated.
But who is the god that created? And you're like, what? What?
Yeah, the engineers. As soon as Prometheus, so the first scene of Prometheus is the engineers creating the symbiote or creating humanity, and then creating the symbiote of the aliens to destroy all the life. It's.
Oh, I loved that opening.
Prometheus is bad, but I love it. The myth behind it is bad. Anyways, I'm gonna go Aliens then because I think Aliens is of the two the one that I will likely rewatch again. But I am definitely going to watch both of these films again.
But really, that's good.
Oh yeah.
So, I guess that means only one thing.
It means that
Predators. Drum roll, please. Jack?
It's done by now? Okay.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I'm still working out the timing on it.
We need like a metronome for that part of the podcast. That means that Predators is our Citizen Kane of the week.
Yay!
Take
Clap,
that,
Jack.
classic.
We have a format.
Yeah, like anyone's still listening. Fucking 2.5 hours in.
Hey, you know what? We are at the time of month where people are heading up to their cottages. This is the perfect amount of time
Okay, if you say so, great.
to listen to in your car.
Yeah.
Bell Media.
Bell Media, fucking Sirius Radio. I don't know.
Sirius XF. Well, I'll give my picks for next week real quick then.
Ooh, let's do it. I'm so
yeah.
intrigued what you're gonna.
Yeah,
I love that it's a mystery.
Yeah, it's Star Wars versus
it's Alien versus nothing.
Alien versus nothing. We're watching Alien so
versus
good alien
the political, the presidential debate.
It's the Democratic National Convention.
Yeah.
Versus...
I mean, Alien versus the Democratic National Convention. That would be a brilliant film. That would be such a good film. Alien versus the Democratic National Convention.
Sean, you've had too many beers. Can you just tell us your movies?
Inspired by. I fleshed this out with Aaron talking through choices that we had.
Is it fleshed or flushed?
Fleshed.
I think it's flashed.
Okay, fleshed.
Jack's like, why do I ask you things?
So our classic film next week that you must watch is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Because it's on
Nice.
Netflix. Thank you.
It's on Netflix.
Nice.
I was thinking about what to pair that
I
with.
believe this next one is also on Netflix. At least Aaron says so.
Oh my god, do not say this.
Coyote Ugly.
Wait.
Is the connecting thread the
Ugly.
word ugly?
Yes, it is.
I thought you were gonna say like Alien versus aliens and cowboys. I thought you were gonna say like 1,000 Ways to Die in the West, fucking starring what's his face?
Oh, that would be good.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, a movie about a stoic Western solitary hero versus Coyote Ugly. I think it's a movie about women who need to raise money for their bar.
Now, okay, I'm only going to push back a little bit on this because
Sure.
I would argue that Coyote Ugly in its own right is a little bit of a classic movie.
It's got like 6.2 on Rotten Tomatoes,
But
or
it-
62 on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's like pretty good
All right.
for our schlock. But,
Well-
Aaron says it's pretty schlocky.
All right, I'll take it. I've never seen it.
all right, we'll do it.
I love that the loose connecting thread. I'm into it. Let's do it.
The word.
I mean, we did the
Ugly.
Titan.
Yeah,
The Titan.
That's true. That's true.
it's not
Titan was-
unprecedented.
And also, I mean, it's going to be a movie with a bunch of attractive women dancing on bars.
And let's not pretend that we're like a podcast with integrity.
No.
I would like to one day get there, though.
No.
Yeah, but we're not now.
No.
So, Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and Coyote.
We've let this fucking thing run 2 hours 20, where you have no integrity left.
Let's do the
Well, I mean, there's a difference
fastest-
between integrity and respect for your audience.
Right.
Sean.
Fuck all of you.
So let's do the sign off as fast as possible. It's like a speed dating round of our Thanos
Thanos teasers?
because I think I have my ideas pretty easily fleshed out. So
Flashed out.
Fleshed.
So these Thanos teasers, it's like I put this often like a game that I've played in the past with friends. It's a fun thing to do when you watch the same movie with friends. Imagine there's a Thanos teaser like you would see after a Marvel movie teasing the appearance of Thanos, ranging now we found out from a legitimate teaser to just completely obscure shit because I think that's funny and that's how it felt in those movies. So imagining what a Thanos teaser would be after each of these movies.
Yeah.
I love when you just directly address the audience on the
Hey everyone.
Hey.
camera.
I sometimes look to our camera, which is just a laptop.
It's a camera though.
Just in case anyone's watching on YouTube. Hi YouTube.
Yeah. So Aliens, I think the credits come up and Thanos, he like walks across the wreckage of the planet that just been nuked, and he's like, the Power Stone was supposed to be on this planet. You failed me. And, oh, Master, I'm so sorry. And he goes to like smack him, but then he like stops. It's like, oh, what? Oh no! And his chest is like moving about, and suddenly comes out the alien that's been incubating inside him the whole time, and it's this like Thanos alien hybrid.
Oh shit.
Shit,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Mine is we're in the oh god, what's it called? Not the cockpit. What's it called on a spaceship?
The wings.
No, what? Fuck off, Sean.
The gun.
The hold? The cockpit? The driving area? Is that what you mean?
Cockpit.
Is it called the cockpit?
the cockpit.
It's
The
the
cockpit.
deck. What do you call it on like the,
Sure, a
like
deck.
the Enterprise?
Yeah, a deck.
All right, well, we're on the deck of Thanos's like mothership, and they're looking out into space, and he's in the middle of giving this big rousing speech to his army and his crew about the next phase of his plan to wipe out half of humanity. And just as he gives the order to jump to hyperdrive, the body of the queen alien splats on his windshield.
That's good.
And we got the windshields going. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I like the queen just being like a passing, like, and it's like a tiny bug on the giant ship.
Exactly.
It's like not even like remotely a
and
threat.
then it's just like a little awkward pause, and then they just wipe it away and keep going.
That's good. Mine is we cut to Ken Jeong. Who is in the MCU. There's nothing we can do to take him out of it. And it's him reprising his role as the security guard at a storage depot.
Mustache and all.
Mustached and all. And he's like sitting in his little like storage depot security office, and he's watching the like footage of the Avengers like beating Thanos. And he's like, whoa, oh my, he's like watching it amazed. And like he like leans back in his chair, and he's clearly like relieved that this has happened. And then that's when he starts to get his chest pulsating moment. Yeah. And then a little mini Thanos bursts out of him. Or it's maybe just Thanos' hand, or just an Infinity Gauntlet.
With the Infinity Gauntlet, that's better.
I don't know.
That's
but
better.
like one of the three, I like the idea of a little Thanos, so like a little baby Thanos being like, yeah. And like, and so like he's going to come back
I feel like it's a little mini Thanos with a little mini Infinity Gauntlet. That, like punching through his chest.
That's beautiful. Love it. Love it.
That's mine. I don't know why I want it to be Ken Jeong. I just feel like he would really sell that scene well.
He would. It would
like,
be way over the top.
He would sell that scene way over the top. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. That he would be like kicking his legs and be like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna shit," and like he would do an improv that no one asked for.
Cocaine.
Predators though.
Predators. Yeah, I think my Thanos. It's not really a teaser at the end. It's actually just take Lawrence Fishburne out and make it Thanos.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's the like psychotic guy that they stumble upon.
Can he be Lawrence Fishburne's friend who we don't see?
Oh yes, that's
that's good.
And he's just in the corner being like,
he comes back and he has like these like he has like leaves over him and he's like Danny.
Yeah.
Or like everyone clears out of the spaceship, and then you just see like Thanos take the Predator mask off, and he's been hiding in the corner the whole time. Just watch the whole thing play out.
You hear like a flush.
Yeah.
You're
what did I miss?
That's funny.
Mine was credits end, and then hard cut to Thanos' eyes snapping open, and he's falling from the sky onto the planet.
Yes.
But then he throws his chute out, and it's just one of those hang gliders from Fortnite.
Shout out to Fortnite also if you want to sponsor
Fortnite,
us.
Bell Media. And he just, and the entire thing is just watching him kind of float into a new area, like Fortnite with confetti and sparkles. And him just like totally jazzed about a new game.
We've been playing some Fortnite lately, so I guess that's why that's trickling in. I have a similar premise, except to cut to out of black, cut to filming of one of the predators falling from the sky. Nice. And it's essentially it's a recreation of like I want it to be like the first 8 minutes of the movie just done again, like shot for shot, but it's a predator falling and the exact same, like hitting his thing until it deploys and then like meeting there, and there's another predator who's like rah, and he's like rah, 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 and then like a third one falls and splats and then he's like rah, rah, rah. Like it's clearly the same part of the movie. And they start walking, and then like I want it not even to be like a similar Predator thing, but it's Thanos, but he's like has like a game, like an African game reserve costume on, like he like
like a safari outfit,
like a safari, like he's just like oh shit, that's me kneeing the table, but he like tiptoes from tree to tree behind them, and like that's it. but like he's hunting the predators
from Looney Tunes.
Yeah, like
Elmer Fudd.
Elmer Fudd had one of those stupid hats on.
He's a bit Elmer Fuddish, but the idea is that like they've been dropped from a preserve, but it's Thanos' preserve.
Dope.
And that's it. But I like the idea of him tiptoeing, like maybe even up to the point of like one of the predators looking into the tree, like Mahershala did, like.
And he's just like fully there in sight in his stupid safari costume.
He's just like sitting on a branch.
But the other one's like, what, you know, like, he's like, and then like they move away, but like a totally different tree. Thanos peeks out and is like, whoa, shit, okay, they thought. I'm like, that's it.
All right.
So
well,
it's like a 10-minute teaser trailer.
Love it. It's its own separate movie.
Yeah,
its own like proof of concept short film.
Okay, let's end this podcast already.
Yeah, and with that, Jack played us out.
Citizen Kane versus.
Meow.